The Priestess's time travel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 726. My husband is Yao Jiayu. Su Qingni had sneaked into the government office in both cities where she lived and got herself several blank identity documents with a government office seal. Unexpectedly, before she could use them, she gave them to Mojwan first. Here, fill in whatever you want. Thank you. Mojwan took the identity document and said gratefully. With the identity document, his biggest problem was solved. Su Qingni removed the soundproof barrier, said see you again if we are destined to meet, and returned to the carriage where Su's mother was riding. Mojwan looked at Su Qingni's back and raised his lips. Fate, of course they are destined to meet. Even if there is no fate, he will create fate. At this moment, Mojwan threw all the words of the elders in the tribe that humans and demons cannot fall in love behind his mind. This woman is his lifelong pursuit and obsession. If he meets her, he will never miss her and will never let her go, even if it will make him shattered and irreparable. Su Qingni returned to the carriage and met Su's mother's fiery eyes. Su Qingni calmly sat down beside her mother. As a great god, nothing could make her panic except a certain bird. Su's mother stared at her daughter and said, Qingni, who is that young man? His name is Mojwan. Su Qingni answered. And then? What is his family background? How old is he this year? Is he married? Su's mother was very dissatisfied with her daughter's answer and asked a series of questions. Su Qingni, I have only met him a few times. This is only the third time we have met. Except for knowing his name, I don't know anything else. Who knows what kind of life experience Mojwan will make up? Don't make up stories for him. Wait for him to solve the doubts for Su's mother. However, there is one thing that must be made clear. He is not married. Even if he is married, he can only marry me. Su's mother raised the corner of her mouth slightly. Her daughter didn't know his family background but knew that he was not married. This was too clear. So, you don't like Xiaodang's child, but this young man Mo? Su's mother asked. Su Qingni nodded without hesitation. Su's mother asked, does Mr. Mo like you? Will he come to our house to propose marriage? Su Qingni was very confident about this, and Mojwan's attitude had already shown everything. Don't worry, mother, he will. Seeing her daughter's confident smile, Su's mother's heart was completely relieved and she also smiled. The two entered the capital. Su Qingni lifted the curtain of the carriage and looked back, and found that Mojwan followed the caravan into the city. Su Qingni took her mother to find an dentist. Ding Ruomoi's letter said that Su Qingni and her daughter should live in the house bought by the Ding family in the capital, but the house was bought by the Ding family for their daughter's marriage. The house was not big, and the Ding family and the Zhu family were already living there. There was no room for more people. And the Ding family had to prepare all the matters for their daughter's marriage. The family was busy and it was impossible for them to have the energy to entertain distant guests. Su Qingni and her mother decided not to live in someone else's house. Su Qingni felt that staying in an inn was convenient, and Mojwan also lived in an inn. Mojwan entered the inn right after the mother and daughter, so their rooms were next to each other. Mojwan's room was next to Su Qingni's room. Su's mother was very happy to see this. It seemed that the young man liked her daughter very much. At night, Su Qingni sat at the table in her room. There was a plate of fruit on the table. It was spiritual fruit that Su Qingni brought from other worlds. This world could accommodate more of her soul, so naturally it could also smuggle more things. In addition to the spiritual fruit, there was also a set of tea sets in front of Su Qingni. Su Qingni was making tea. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Su Qingni waved her hand, the door opened, and Mojwan stood outside the door. Mojwan walked into the room and the door closed automatically. Please sit down. Su Qingni made an invitation gesture and put a soundproof barrier on the room. Mojwan walked to sit opposite Su Qingni. Su Qingni picked up the teapot and poured a cup of tea for Mojwan. The fragrance of tea entered Mojwan's nostrils, which shocked Mojwan. Is this spiritual tea? Mojwan was surprised. Spiritual tea is a good thing, but it is very rare. Even among the demons, there is very little spiritual tea, but the woman in front of him has it. Thinking of the way she helped him to overcome the heavenly tribulation, he was sure that the woman in front of him was not an ordinary mortal. Are you a god from heaven who came down to the mortal world to overcome the tribulation? Mojwan asked with a little trepidation. If the other party is really an immortal who came down to the mortal world to overcome the tribulation, then he is a high and mighty celestial immortal, and he is just a demon who has just cultivated to be an earthly immortal. His status is very different from that of the other party, and he is not worthy of him. Su Qingni smiled mysteriously and did not answer the question. I still have some spiritual tea in stock here. I will give you some later. You can drink it any time. Su Qingni said, and then asked, you must go to the capital. Is it because those two little demons are also here? Mojwan nodded, and his expression became a little ugly. Su Qingni said, are these two really so daring that they ran to the capital to seek death? Mojwan said, Wang Ying has a treasure that can help her and Xiaok hide their identities as monsters and resist the suppression of dragon energy on them. Su Qingni raised her eyebrows. Does that Oriole have a backer? Mojwan replied, Wang Ying's aunt ascended to become a celestial being. When she left Wang Ying a magic weapon to protect her. Su Qingni sneered, they are all spoiled by others. Is her aunt trying to protect her or to harm her? Cultivation goes against the will of heaven. If you want to be successful all the time, how can you overcome the tribulation and become an immortal? This aunt doesn't like Wang Ying, but hates her, right? Mojwan. Why did he think that what Su Qingni said made sense? Have you found the two little monsters? Su Qingni asked. Mojwan shook his head. After entering the capital, the two of them disappeared completely, as if they were covered up by something. Su Qingni said, one of my friends is a captain of the Imperial Guards. He is valued by the Emperor and should have some influence in the capital. I can ask my friend to help you find those two. Thank you very much. Mojwan did not refuse. After finishing the business, the two were silent for a while, and they didn't know what to say for a while. Mojwan finished the tea in the cup, and Su Qingni poured him another cup, and then said, my mother is very worried about my marriage. Before she and I came to the capital, a matchmaker had come to propose marriage to me. Mojwan crushed the teacup in one go, and the tea wet Mojwan's hands and clothes. He stared at Su Qingni and asked worriedly, then you? Su Qingni said, I refused. Mojwan breathed a sigh of relief. But Su Qingni's next words still challenged his nerves, but I refused the first time, I can't keep refusing. Women have to get married when they reach a certain age. If I don't get married, my mother will be worried. Chapter 727 My husband is a demon. If I never get married, my mother will be worried. The woman said in front of him, my mother only has me as a daughter. Her biggest hope is that I will marry a good man and have someone to rely on for the rest of my life. Mojwan asked nervously, then has your mother chosen someone? Su Qingni's lips curled slightly and said, my mother had high hopes for my friend before, oh, the one who became the lieutenant of the Imperial Guard. Mojwan's face suddenly became very ugly, and he said, don't bother that gentleman about finding the two yellow warblers. Su Qingni smiled and said, my mother has changed her candidate now. Mojwan. Why do I feel that the woman in front of me is smiling like a little fox? Su Qingni smiled and asked, don't you want to know which candidate my mother has changed? Mojwan is not stupid. After Su Qingni asked this, there is nothing he doesn't know. Surprise floated on his face. It's me. Su Qingni chuckled. Mojwan's happiness overflowed his body. He looked at the woman in front of him, suddenly stood up, stretched out his hand to pick her up, and held her in his arms. When I finish dealing with Wang Ying and Xiaok, I will come to ask for marriage and ask your mother to marry you to me. Su Qingni leaned her face against Mojwan's chest and rubbed it. It was still a familiar feeling and a familiar formula. Then you have to make up a family background for yourself. Yes, I will. Although he rarely set foot in human society, Mojwan still knew that there were many things that humans cared about when getting married, and family background was one of the most important things. The woman would not marry her daughter to someone whose origin was unknown. The next day, Mojwan left the inn early in the morning to find the two little demons. This made Su Qingni hate the two little demons even more. After breakfast, Su Qingni and her mother went to visit the Ding family's house in the capital. The Ding family, the Zhu family and the Su family were old neighbors. Although the mother and daughter of the Su family fell into poverty and moved away from their previous residence, the Su family had no contact with the elders of the other two families. But after all, the relationship of more than 10 years of getting along is there. The elders of the Ding family and the Zhu family did not look down on them just because the mother and daughter were in poverty. When they heard that they came to Beijing to attend Ding Ruomai's wedding, they welcomed them very warmly and wanted to let them live in the Ding family. Although the Ding family is not big, it can still accommodate 2 people if they squeeze in. If it were before, Su's mother would definitely agree to avoid spending too much on accommodation. However, thinking of the young man living next door to her daughter, Su's mother refused Ding's mother's invitation. Su's mother was chatting with Ding's mother and Zhu's mother, and Su Qingni blamed Ding Ruomai for pulling her into her boudoir. Congratulations, Ruomai. Su Qingni sincerely congratulated Ding Ruomai. Ding Ruomai was very happy. She was happy that her good friend could come to Beijing to attend their wedding. She thought that she and Su Qingni would never have the chance to meet again in the future. She left her hometown, and if Su Qingni returned to her hometown, she would not be able to see her. Ding Ruomai smiled and pulled Su Qingni to her bedside. The two sat next to each other. Ding Ruomai began to show off her fiancé to Su Qingni, telling her every bit of how she met and knew her fiancé. Su Qingni listened to Ding Ruomai's story with a smile, just like when the original body was still there. This was the way the two girls got along. It's just that every time the original body spoke to Ding Ruomai, she smiled quietly on the surface, but scolded Ding Ruomai inwardly, thinking that Ding Ruomai was showing off to her. Su Qingni said that Ding Ruomai's attitude towards the original body was indeed problematic. Even when she was listening to Ding Ruomai talking, she felt that Ding Ruomai was showing off. But the girl herself didn't think so. It was also funny. After talking about her fiancé, Ding Ruomai's face suddenly darkened. Su Qingni raised her eyebrows and asked, "What's wrong? Is there something that makes you unhappy?" Ding Ruomai sighed. After Xiaodan came to the capital, he entered the Imperial Army camp and has not been back. I am a little worried about him. Su Qingni said, "Xiaodan likes you, did you know?" Ding Ruomai sighed again. "I know, Chengru told me." Chengru is the name of the 4th prince. I have always regarded Xiaodan as my younger brother. How could he like me? If he likes me, he likes me. There is no reason. Su Qingni said, "Xiaodan is heartbroken. It is normal for him to want to avoid you." Ding Ruomai, but I don't want to be estranged from him. I hope we can be the same as before. He will always be my best friend and best brother. Su Qingni, Ruomai, you are greedy. Yes, I am greedy. I don't want to lose anyone around me. Ding Ruomai admitted directly that she was greedy. Su Qingni said, "Don't worry, Zhu Xiaodang is hiding from you because he is heartbroken. As long as he gets over it, he will come back to you and continue to be your good friend and good brother." "Really?" Ding Ruomai asked hurriedly. Su Qingni nodded. Zhu Xiaodang was reluctant to leave Ding Ruomai, otherwise he would not have accepted the military post of the Imperial Guard's captain and came to the capital. To put it bluntly, didn't he just want to see Ding Ruomai more often? Ding Ruomai breathed a long sigh of relief, and the sadness on her face dissipated a lot. "Qingni, can you help me persuade Xiaodang to stop being sad and let him go home?" Ding Ruomai asked Su Qingni. Su Qingni wanted to refuse. She didn't want to get involved in these things between men and women, but Ding Ruomai held her arm and begged her. If she didn't agree, Ding Ruomai would not let her leave. She had no choice but to agree. Back to the inn, Mo Zhuan hadn't come back yet. Su Qingni saw that it was still early, so she told Su's mother something and went to the Imperial Guard's camp to find Zhu Xiaodang. Su Qingni waited outside the military camp for a while and saw Zhu Xiaodang walking out with a wooden face. The current Zhu Xiaodang has changed a lot from the previous Zhu Xiaodang. He is much more mature and no longer the boy who gets angry easily. His stern face makes him look like an iceberg handsome guy. "Why are you here?" Zhu Xiaodang walked to Su Qingni and asked in a bad tone. Su Qingni rolled her eyes. No matter whether Zhu Xiaodang has changed or not, she and even her original body are not on good terms with Zhu Xiaodang. "Absolutely. Do you think I want to come?" "Ruomai asked me to come." Su Qingni snorted. Zhu Xiaodang's eyes lit up. "Ruomai asked you to come? She still cares about me. She has always cared about you because you are her best friend's best brother." Su Qingni said with a chuckle. Zhu Xiaodang's eyes dimmed and his shoulders drooped. "Am I just a brother and friend? Didn't you know it a long time ago?" Su Qingni snorted. "You knew a long time ago that Ruomai had no feelings for you. Didn't you make a decision a long time ago?" If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 728 My Husband is a Demon. 11. You knew from the beginning that Ruomi had no romantic feelings for you, didn't you make the decision long ago? Didn't you come to comfort me? Zhu Xiaodang gritted his teeth. Su Qingni, I came to see you laugh at your joke. Zhu Xiaodang stared at Su Qingni, his eyes roaming over her body, considering where to bite off a piece of this woman's flesh. Su Qingni crossed her arms and sneered at Zhu Xiaodang, continuing to anger him. Have you thought about the consequences of biting me? You have to marry a girl if you kiss her in public. Zhu Xiaodang's eyes fixed, and he looked up at Su Qingni's face with a thoughtful expression on his face. Su Qingni couldn't help but think, fuck. In her heart, this guy doesn't really want to marry her, does he? Then Zhu Xiaodang said, let's get married. Su Qingni, I refuse. Zhu Xiaodang snorted, with your family's current conditions, which other good family can you marry into except marrying me? If you marry me, you can even become an official's wife. Su Qingni also snorted, who said I can't marry into a good family? My future husband is 100 times better than you. But you are just looking for a shield. Who can you find? Why me? Zhu Xiaodang, I don't want to harm other girls. So you want to harm me? Who told you to be my friend? I'm unlucky to be friends with you. In one word, are you willing or not? No. Why? Marry me, except that we won't have a normal life as a couple. I can accommodate you and satisfy you in everything else. I can bring your mother to live in the capital, and you don't have to work hard to support the family anymore. I have someone I like, and he said he would marry me. Fuck. How come I didn't know? I met him in Luocheng. You and Ruomi naturally didn't know. Zhu Xiaodang. Zhu Xiaodang wailed, even you have been wanted. Su Qingni patted Zhu Xiaodang on the shoulder. Actually, I think you don't need to get married. It's good to be a single dog for the rest of your life. Although Zhu Xiaodang had never heard of the term single dog, he could understand the meaning of this word literally. You curse me. Su Qingni laughed. No need for me to curse, you are destined to be alone. You only have Ruomi in your heart, will you really marry other women? Zhu Xiaodang shook his head, except you. Su Qingni laughed at him again. Since you have practiced Taoist exercises, why not just become a monk? You are a rare seedling for cultivation. As for your father and your mother, don't you have your two brothers to take care of them? Zhu Xiaodang. Why did he feel that Su Qingni's words made sense and made him want to become a Taoist monk immediately? No, at least not now. If you become a Taoist monk, you have to stay in the Taoist temple and you won't be able to see Ruomi often. Zhu Xiaodang quickly threw the idea of becoming a monk out of his head. Since you don't want to marry me, then go away, so as not to be an eyesore in front of me. Zhu Xiaodang waved his hands, looking like he was chasing away mosquitoes. Su Qingni slapped Zhu Xiaodang on the back of his head. Go ahead, I see you are so lively, there is no need for me to persuade you. Come home when you have time, Ruomi is very worried about you. Got it. Zhu Xiaodang replied sullenly. Su Qingni returned to the inn, and Mozhuan had already returned. He was very lucky today, and he actually ran into two little demons on the street, but the two little demons insisted on not going back to the forest with Mozhuan. They showed Mozhuan the power of the magic weapon, which was indeed perfect enough to cover up their demonic aura, and even the Taoist priests and monks with profound cultivation would not be able to tell that they were monsters. Mozhuan said all the nice things, even threatening words, but the two little demons didn't care at all and made up their minds not to go back with Mozhuan. Mozhuan was very angry. He came to find the two little demons based on the righteousness of the same clan. If the two little demons didn't obey and didn't appreciate it, he would just let them go. Anyway, after the incident with the black silk and the red fruit, Mozhuan no longer had a good impression of the two little demons. Since they were protected by the treasure, nothing serious would happen to them, so he just ignored them. Su Qingni was very supportive of Mozhuan's decision. She had a hunch that the two little demons would definitely cause a big trouble, and if Mozhuan kept caring about them, he would definitely be dragged down. It was best not to care about them, stay away from them, and let them die on their own. Ignoring the two little demons, Mozhuan spent all his time with Su Qingni. The relationship between him and Su Qingni was clear in front of Su's mother. Mozhuan made up a very good life story for himself, which made Su's mother very satisfied. The more she looked at this son-in-law, the more she liked him. She was anxious to attend Ding Ruomai's wedding, and then took the two children back to Luochang to hold a wedding for the two children. Zhu Xiaodong had not stayed in the Imperial Guard camp since Su Qingni went to find him, and returned to the house that the Zhu family bought in the capital. The house was next to the Ding family. Ding Ruomai was very happy to see Zhu Xiaodong coming home. She took Zhu Xiaodong and talked to him for a long time. Her attitude was the same as usual, that is, she treated Zhu Xiaodong as her younger brother. Zhu Xiaodong felt bitter in his heart, but he was smiling on his face, as if he had just come out of a broken heart. He and Ding Ruomai both met Mozhuan. Zhu Xiaodong was surprised that Su Qingni did not lie to him, and someone really wanted her. Su Qingni and Mozhuan attended Ding Ruomai's wedding. Her wedding was very grand. After all, she married into the royal family and became a princess. After the wedding, Su Qingni and Mozhuan returned to Luochang with Su's mother. Mozhuan bought a house in Luochang to settle down and invited a matchmaker to propose marriage. Su's mother agreed to the marriage very readily. 3 months later, Su Qingni became Mozhuan's bride. Su Qingni was as excited as the first time she got married to the person she loved again, even though the other party had no memory. The married life was very plain but very happy. Mozhuan took Su Qingni into the forest to meet the monsters in the mountains. The elders were very worried about Mozhuan marrying a human woman, so Su Qingni showed her strong strength in front of the monsters. The elders were relieved. The rule that humans and monsters cannot fall in love is based on the fact that humans are too weak and their lifespans are too short. When monsters are with humans, the demonic energy on their bodies will harm the human body. Humans die in less than 100 years, and monsters with long lives will go crazy. Many tragedies are caused by this. There are also many tragedies because humans cannot accept the identity of their other half as aliens. Some even turn their faces and find monks and Taoist priests to collect monsters, causing great harm to their other half. Since Su Qingni knew Mozhuan's identity early on and was powerful, she would not be harmed by the demonic energy, and her lifespan could be increased because of her strength. All the factors that could cause tragedy have disappeared. I believe that Su Qingni and Mozhuan can live well. What can they object to? Chapter 729 My husband is a demon 12. After Su Qingni and Mozhuan got married, they took Su's mother to live with them, and the two took care of her together. Su's mother lived a comfortable life for many years. However, Su's mother's body had been broken in the previous years. Even though Su Qingni nourished her body with spiritual energy, it only cured a disease but did not make up for the foundation. Su Qingni did not think about extending Su's mother's life. Instead of letting her live as a widow, it would be better to give her a good birth in the next life and marry someone who would grow old with her. 6 years later, Su's mother passed away. After Su Qingni handled Su's mother's funeral, she left Luochang and traveled around the world with Mozhuan to find the extremely yin place. After Mozhuan knew where Su Qingni was looking for, he mobilized his connections in the demon clan to help Su Qingni find it. There is strength in numbers. It should be said that there is strength in numbers. In less than half a year, Su Qingni found the extremely yin place with the help of the goblins and buried the netherworld stone. A big thing was completed. Su Qingni felt relieved and began to play around with Mozhuan. A year later, they came to the capital again. Ding Ruomai sent a message to Su Qingni that the fourth prince was about to ascend the throne and she would become the queen. She hoped that her good friends and besties could witness this peak moment of her life. Su Qingni brought Mozhuan into the capital and lived in Zhu Xiaodong's mansion. Zhu Xiaodong has developed very well in recent years and has been promoted from a lieutenant to a general. Because he was wholeheartedly helping Ding Ruomai, Zhu Xiaodong also had the merit of following the dragon and was granted the title by the new emperor and became a marquess. There was no hostess in Zhu Xiaodong's mansion. He insisted on not getting married in these years, and the Zhu family could not do anything about him. In addition to the affairs in the court and the military camp, Zhu Xiaodong spent the rest of his time practicing Taoism. When she met Zhu Xiaodong this time, Su Qingni found that Zhu Xiaodong had crossed the threshold of refining essence into qi and entered the level of refining qi into spirit. This level is already very good among many cultivators. Many professional Taoist priests cannot reach this level in their lifetime, but Zhu Xiaodong only took a few years, and he was able to reach the state of refining qi and transforming into spirit while having other things to do. This shows that he is a good candidate for cultivation. Alice, why can't such a good candidate become a monk and cultivate Taoism? but must enter the calamity of the world for a woman. Su Xiaodang was very happy to see Su Qingni, but he was used to bickering with Su Qingni. He was happy in his heart, but said, "I haven't seen you for so many years, you look very comfortable. I thought you would be haggard and worn out like an old woman after living in the open air and exposed to the wind and rain for so many years. Can you speak? I am a girl with natural beauty and eternal youth. How can I look like an old woman? But you, after not seeing you for so many years, have become lifeless, like a little old man." Su Qingni retorted. Su Xiaodang was furious. "There's something wrong with your eyes. How do I look like an old man? I have a calm temperament and a firm heart. People who see me say that I look like a Taoist master." Su Qingni threw a ha-ha in Su Xiaodang's face. The two began to quarrel with each other. For a moment, it seemed as if they had returned to the past, and the unfamiliarity of not seeing each other for several years disappeared. Mozhuan watched the two dickering with a smile, and thought sourly in his heart that he would teach his little wife a lesson in the evening. Let her not forget her husband when she sees other men. Su Qingni shook her body during the bickering. Why did she feel a little cold? In the evening, Su Qingni experienced the consequences of her lover's jealousy. The next day, Su Qingni rubbed her old waist and followed Su Xiaodang into the palace. Seeing Ding Ruomai, who was about to become the queen, was very different from the Ding Ruomai that Su Qingni had known before. It was still the sun, but now Ding Ruomai was a brilliant sun, powerful and able to burn people, unlike the little sun before, which only warmed people but did not hurt them. Su Qingni pretended to salute, and Ding Ruomai stopped her halfway as she expected, reaching out to hold Su Qingni's hands. Su Qingni smiled. "Your Majesty looks very energetic. Don't call me Your Majesty, call me by my name." Ding Ruomai was very happy to see her bestie. Over the years, there have been many women who have called her sister and made friends with her, but almost no one is sincere, and even many have betrayed her, which makes her cherish the first two friendships even more. Su Xiaodang's behavior made Ding Ruomai see the strength of their relationship, but Su Xiaodang is a man after all, and Ding Ruomai is not convenient to tell him many things, but Su Qingni is a woman, and she has a husband, so she will not compete with Ding Ruomai for a man, so she can tell Su Qingni some of her inner thoughts. In fact, to put it bluntly, it is the drama of women fighting in the harem. Although the new emperor and Ding Ruomai like each other, he is an ancient man after all, and a prince, and it is impossible for him to have only one woman. Ding Ruomai married the new queen, and many women entered the backyard one after another. These women were of higher birth than Ding Ruomai, and Ding Ruomai suffered a lot at their hands. Fortunately, she was smart and defeated those women one by one. Now she is the winner and is about to become the most noble woman in the world, the queen. However, the war is not over, but has just begun. The harem will select people every 3 years. In addition to those ladies with status who will become palace concubines, many ambitious palace maids also want to climb onto the emperor's dragon bed. Ding Ruomai's enemies are countless. It is rare to see a friend who is not threatening, so Ding Ruomai poured all her grievances to Su Qingni. Su Qingni listened quietly without expressing any opinions. Of course, Ding Ruomai did not think of asking her to give opinions. She is just a tree hole in a trash can. But at the end, Ding Ruomai talked about the selection after the harem canonization ceremony, and Ding Ruomai invited Su Qingni to participate in the final evaluation of the selection. Su Qingni found it interesting and did not refuse. The two made an appointment, and Ding Ruomai asked someone to release Su Qingni from the palace. When they returned to Su Xiaodang's mansion, they found that this boy had actually dragged Mozhuan to fight in the martial arts training ground. Su Xiaodang was not Mozhuan's opponent, but Mozhuan did not reveal his strength and was very accommodating to Su Xiaodang. The two fought for more than 300 rounds without a clear winner. Seeing Su Qingni coming back, Mozhuan immediately stopped fighting and jumped to Su Qingni's side. Su Xiaodang also jumped over and gave Mozhuan a thumbs up. Good skills. He boasted that his skills were already very strong. Did he see that there were no rivals in the capital? As a result, Su Qingni's husband could actually fight him to draw. Su Qingni is a girl with good vision. Su Qingni snorted twice and said proudly, "Don't you see whose husband he is?" Su Xiaodang looked at Mozhuan and said sincerely, "Brother Mo, you are good in everything, but your vision of people is really bad." Chapter 730 My Husband is Demon 13. The days passed quickly in the daily bickering between Su Qingni and Su Xiaodang. In a blink of an eye, It was the day for the ceremony of conferring the empress. Su Qingni and Mozhuan watched the whole process as spectators. However, Su Qingni used an illusion. She would not kneel down to Ding Ruomei and the emperor with Mozhuan. 2 months after the ceremony, the talent show began. Ding Ruomei invited Su Qingni to watch the talent show. Su Qingni found a familiar person and monster among them. It was the Oriole. I don't know how she got mixed up, but she actually became a concubine and wanted to enter the palace? Too bold, right? She relied on her magic weapon. If she didn't have the magic weapon, she would be shocked to death by the dragon's energy. Ding Ruomei noticed that Su Qingni's eyes had been on a concubine, and asked, "Why, do you know her?" Su Qingni shook her head and said, "I don't know her, I just think this girl doesn't fit in with the other concubines." Ding Ruomei nodded, "This girl is more lively than the others." It reminded her of herself in the past, who was also so lively and unrestrained, and the emperor was attracted by her liveliness. The emperor liked girls like this. If he kept this woman in the palace, she might become a big threat to him. Ding Ruomei made up her mind to get rid of Wang Ying. However, things did not depend on Ding Ruomei's willpower. Although she was the big boss in the palace, the emperor was the ultimate boss. When it came to the final choice, the emperor actually came. As expected, Wang Ying was the type that the emperor liked. The emperor liked lively girls, and Wang Ying behaved differently from other concubines. She was only curious about the emperor but not respectful, which made the emperor feel quite novel. He left a name card right away, and told Ding Ruomei that Wang Ying was very similar to Ding Ruomei at the beginning, and immediately recalled the bits and pieces of the time when he and Ding Ruomei first met and fell in love. Ding Ruomei vomited blood and felt very sick, but on the surface she had to pretend to be moved and reminisce with the emperor about the past, as if the years were peaceful. Su Qingni twitched her mouth when she saw Wang Ying. After leaving the palace, Su Qingni told Mozhuan about what she saw in the palace. This time when he came to the capital, Mozhuan looked for Wang Ying and Xiaok, wanting to see how they had lived over the years. However, he did not find any trace of the two monsters. After hearing Su Qingni say that Wang Ying had entered the palace, Mozhuan also felt that Wang Ying was too bold. At night, Mozhuan sneaked into the palace and wanted to persuade Wang Ying to leave the palace. In the second half of the night, another person lay down beside her, and Su Qingni was embraced in a cold embrace. Su Qingni did not open her eyes, and let Mozhuan hold her tightly. Mozhuan's voice rang out, "I will no longer care about those two." His voice was very cold, with obvious anger, and it seemed that he was very angry. Su Qingni raised her hand and patted the back of Mozhuan's hand to comfort her. "Those two were not your responsibility in the first place. They were looking for death themselves, so why should you care? If you have the mind, take care of me as your wife. Don't think about other women all day long." As soon as this sentence came out, it effectively calmed Mozhuan's anger. He leaned his head against Su Qingni's shoulder, took a deep breath of Su Qingni's breath, and smiled. "Are you jealous?" Su Qingni hummed. Mozhuan smiled and said, "Don't worry, I only have you in my heart, and I won't think about other women anymore." His somewhat cold lips covered Su Qingni's lips. The night was still very long. The next day, Su Qingni and Mozhuan left the capital and continued their play. 5 years later, Su Qingni and Mozhuan returned to Luocheng, built a manor at the foot of the mountain, and settled down. In these years, Su Qingni was by Mozhuan's side, occasionally giving him some advice on cultivation, which made Mozhuan's cultivation speed very fast. Su Qingni also fed Mozhuan spiritual fruits and spiritual tea every day, and the spiritual energy in these things was all transformed into Mozhuan's cultivation. However, in just over 10 years, Mozhuan's cultivation level was comparable to the sum of his cultivation level in the past 200 or 300 years. With his cultivation level increased and his realm improved, Mozhuan was about to pass the tribulation again and become a celestial being. At this time, an uninvited guest broke into their manor, causing great trouble. The one who broke in was Wang Ying. Wang Ying was very embarrassed at this time, with countless injuries. She fled to Luocheng in one breath. She originally wanted to escape into the mountains, but she couldn't hold on at the foot of the mountain. She fell into coma after escaping into the villa. Mozhuan didn't know what happened to Wang Ying or who was chasing her, but considering that they were both from the same bird tribe, he saved Wang Ying and treated her wounds. After Wang Ying woke up, she asked Mozhuan to help her stop the people chasing her. She told Mozhuan that Xiaok was killed by the people chasing her, and asked Mozhuan to avenge Xiaoke. Mozhuan wanted to agree to Wang Ying for the sake of being from the same tribe, but was stopped by Su Qingni. Su Qingni asked Wang Ying, "Why did those people chase you? What mistakes did you make?" Wang Ying's eyes flickered, and she shouted in a cowardly manner, "What mistakes could we make? Those people chased us because we are monsters, and they want to kill monsters. Xiaoke and I are innocent." Su Qingni didn't believe her at all. She was able to frame the innocent He Chao back then, so why didn't she frame others now? Su Qingni said coldly, "Tell the truth." "I'm telling the truth," Wang Ying said stubbornly. Su Qingni's face darkened, and she wondered whether she should let Wang Ying suffer a little to make her behave herself. Suddenly, a loud shout came from the gate, "Monster, come out and die." Then the gate of her own villa was violently split open, and the two heavy wooden doors were broken into pieces. Su Qingni was glad that she and Mozhuan did not use ordinary people as servants and set up a doorman for the convenience of life and magic, otherwise the doorman would definitely be injured. The shout was very familiar, and Su Qingni blinked in surprise. Wang Ying was frightened by the scolding shout and trembled all over. She huddled in the corner and said to Mozhuan, "Brother Mo, this person has been chasing me. He is probably trying to seize our demon pill. He is a bad guy." Su Qingni glanced at Wang Ying coldly. Sure enough, he used the old trick to sow discord and instigate others to fight to the death. Su Qingni took action directly, and bound Wang Ying with a spell and dragged Wang Ying out of the room. The people outside the gate had already broken in. The man was wearing a Taoist robe and had an untidy beard on his face. He looked extremely sloppy, but his face was very familiar to Su Qingni and Mozhuan. "Xiaoding? Why is it you? You actually became a Taoist priest?" Su Qingni asked in surprise. Zhu Xiaodang was also surprised. "Why are you here?" His eyes fell on Mozhuan, and his eyes suddenly changed. "You are also a monster." Zhu Xiaodang's face was extremely ugly, and the long sword in his hand stabbed towards Mozhuan. "Monster, die!" Chapter 731 My husband is a demon 14. Demon, die! Zhu Xiaodang thrust the long sword at Mozhuan, and cast a spell with his other hand, smashing it on Mozhuan's head. Mozhuan responded quickly. In the past, his strength was much stronger than Zhu Xiaodang, and he would always hold back when fighting with Zhu Xiaodang, but now, Zhu Xiaodang's attack was very powerful and fierce, and Mozhuan could only respond with all his strength. Unexpectedly, in just over a decade, Zhu Xiaodang had become so powerful. Su Qingni looked at Zhu Xiaodang carefully and found that Zhu Xiaodang's cultivation had actually jumped 3 levels, breaking through the 2 major realms of refining Qi into spirit and refining spirit into emptiness, and directly entered the realm of refining emptiness and merging with the Tao. This realm is equivalent to the realm of the demon clan's earthly immortals, so it's no wonder that Zhu Xiaodang could see that Mozhuan was not a human, but a demon clan. "Stop!" Su Qingni shouted at Zhu Xiaodang, but Zhu Xiaodang didn't listen to her at all, and continued to attack Mozhuan with fierce killing moves. Mozhuan, considering the past relationship, just defended and dodged, and didn't fight back. Su Qingni threw Wang Ying aside, flew forward and inserted into the battle circle of the 2 people, blocking Zhu Xiaodang's attack with one hand and subduing Zhu Xiaodang with the other hand. "Zhu Xiaodang, are you crazy? You actually attacked my husband. You are crazy. You actually married a monster." Zhu Xiaodang stared and shouted angrily, "You are with a monster, aren't you afraid that the monster will kill you? My husband will not hurt me." Su Qingni stretched out her fingers and pressed Zhu Xiaodang's acupuncture points, making him unable to move. Zhu Xiaodang was furious. "Those who are not of my kind must have different hearts. How can monsters not hurt people? My husband won't. People are good and bad, monsters are also good and bad, you can't generalize." Su Qingni said. Zhu Xiaodang snorted coldly, "If Mozhuan Ruo is a good person, why should he protect that Oriole? That Oriole killed Ruomi and her son." "What? Ruomi is dead?" Su Qingni was extremely surprised. The expression on Zhu Xiaodang's face changed from rage to grief, and tears almost flowed out. "Ruomi is dead, killed by 2 goblins." It turned out that after the selection, Wang Ying successfully entered the palace and successfully won the emperor's favor, and started a competition with Ding Ruomi. In the first few years, Wang Ying thought it was interesting to use mortal means to deal with the enemy, so she did not use her own means as a goblin. She and Ding Ruomi had a back-and-forth relationship and were evenly matched. Wang Ying found such days very interesting. However, When the emperor favored Ding Ruomai, Wang Ying fell behind. Wang Ying was unhappy. How could the emperor favor Ding Ruomai? Obviously, she was prettier and younger than Ding Ruomai, and the emperor liked her more, so why did he favor Ding Ruomai? Wang Ying followed Ziyok to study for a long time and finally understood why. Because Ding Ruomai had a son, who was the candidate for the crown prince favored by the emperor. And Wang Ying was a goblin, it was difficult for her to conceive a human child. The emperor attached great importance to offspring, so between Ding Ruomai who had a child and Wang Ying who had no child, the emperor chose Ding Ruomai. After reaching this conclusion, the two demons decided to attack Ding Ruomai's son. They thought simply that if Ding Ruomai had no son, the emperor would not favor Ding Ruomai, and Ding Ruomai would no longer be Wang Ying's opponent and would definitely be trampled under Wang Ying's feet. Then, the two demons really attacked Ding Ruomai's son, the little prince. However, their actions were discovered by Ding Ruomai, who was furious. She would not be angry if the two demons attacked her, but if they attacked her son, the lioness who protected her cubs would tear apart the enemies who hurt her child. Ding Ruomai no longer held back and killed Wang Ying, and brought the evidence of Wang Ying's attack on the little prince to the emperor. Although the emperor doted on Wang Ying, his offspring was what he cared about most, and it was much more important than women in his heart. Wang Ying's actions touched the emperor's bottom line, and the emperor was merciless to Wang Ying, stripped her of her position, and gave her a cup of poison wine. Of course, human poison wine cannot kill Wang Ying. Wang Ying pretended to be dead and escaped, but she hated Ding Ruomai. In order to avenge Ding Ruomai, Wang Ying and Ziyok did not flee the capital, but sneaked into the palace with magic, wanting to kill Ding Ruomai directly. But Ding Ruomai is the queen of a country, and she is protected by the aura of the phoenix, so Wang Ying cannot attack her directly. So Wang Ying lurked beside Ding Ruomai and used other people's hands to pass on the demon poison she prepared to Ding Ruomai and the little prince. Because of her deep hatred for Ding Ruomai, Wang Ying gave Ding Ruomai a very large dose of demon poison. In a few days, Ding Ruomai was dying. The imperial physician in the palace only found out that Ding Ruomai was poisoned, but no one could tell what kind of poison she was, let alone detoxification. In the end, it was Zhu Xiaodang who saw that Ding Ruomai's symptoms were very strange, and found out the reason from the Taoist information given to him by Su Qingni. Ding Ruomai was poisoned by the demon. There is a monster in the palace. If someone had told Zhu Xiaodang that there were monsters in this world before, Zhu Xiaodang would have sneered. But after practicing Taoist techniques, Zhu Xiaodang gradually felt the magic of this world and understood that monsters might really exist, but he had never seen them. Unexpectedly, there were monsters in the palace, and they hurt the people he loved. Zhu Xiaodang understood why the Taoists shouted to kill monsters and eliminate demons, because monsters are all bad and they hurt the people he cares about. At this moment, Zhu Xiaodang was determined to kill monsters and eliminate demons. After knowing that Ding Ruomai and the little prince were poisoned by monsters, Zhu Xiaodang knew how to treat them. Unfortunately, they were poisoned for too long. Although the little prince was saved, his body was too damaged by the monster poison, his body decayed, and his lifespan was affected. He would be bedridden for many years in the future, and he would not live long. And Ding Ruomai was poisoned by an excessive amount of monster poison, and even if the poison was detoxified, her life could not be saved, and she died. Ding Ruomai's death completely turned Zhu Xiaodang evil. He vowed to kill Ding Ruomai for revenge and was irreconcilable with the demon clan. Zhu Xiaodang abandoned his title and official position and put on a Taoist robe. He had not married in these years and had been guarding Ding Ruomai by his side. His parents knew his thoughts and had no hope for him to get married. At this moment, Zhu Xiaodang became a monk, and no one objected. Even the emperor knew Zhu Xiaodang's thoughts. He had never done anything to Zhu Xiaodang because he knew that Ding Ruomai had no feelings for Zhu Xiaodang. Zhu Xiaodang found the emperor and told him that Ding Ruomai and the little prince were poisoned by demons. The emperor was a little scared, afraid that the monsters would harm him, so he gave Zhu Xiaodang the right to walk freely in the palace and let him find out the hidden monsters and get rid of them. Zhu Xiaodang's cultivation was stimulated by Ding Ruomai's death, and his strength improved, and naturally his ability to detect also improved. Chapter 732 My Husband is a Demon 15. Although Wang Ying had a magic weapon in her hand to conceal her breath, the magic weapon belonged to her and could completely conceal her breath, but it was not Ziyok's. Xiao could not stay with Wang Ying for 24 hours a day. As long as she left Wang Ying's range, the magic weapon would become ineffective and her breath would be revealed. Zhu Xiaodang followed Xiao's breath to find Wang Ying and Xiao. When the enemies met, they were extremely jealous. Zhu Xiaodang fought to the death with Wang Ying and Xiao and killed them. Wang Ying and Xiao were just little monsters, and they were no match for Zhu Xiaodang, who was extremely powerful. Xiao was killed by Zhu Xiaodang on the spot, but Wang Ying escaped because of the protection of the magic weapon and fled from the capital. Zhu Xiaodang chased Wang Ying and left the capital. Wang Ying wanted to escape back to the mountains and forests of Lucheng. She thought that there were many people of the same clan in the mountains and forests, including elders of the clan, and big monsters like Mo Zhuan, who should be able to stop Zhu Xiaodang and save herself. However, she did not expect that with Zhu Xiaodang's current strength, the elders were no match for him, and Mo Zhuan was not Zhu Xiaodang's opponent before he met Su Qingni. If she led Zhu Xiaodang to the forest of Lucheng, it would be a tragedy for the monsters. The monsters in the forest might be killed by Zhu Xiaodang, a pseudo-Taoist who hated monsters. The monsters in the forest were so innocent. Wang Ying was a scourge. Fortunately, Mo Zhuan met Su Qingni and his own strength increased. Fortunately, Wang Ying did not enter the forest but entered the villa of Mo Zhuan and Su Qingni. After listening to Zhu Xiaodang's story, Su Qingni grabbed Wang Ying on the ground not far away and threw her in front of Zhu Xiaodang. The culprit is here, you deal with it. Zhu Xiaodang saw Wang Ying, his eyes were red, and he acted without hesitation. Mo Zhuan sighed, turned away, and ignored Wang Ying's call for help. He dared to kill even the mother of a country, so he could not save Wang Ying. Even if Wang Ying did not die at the hands of Zhu Xiaodang, the heaven would still record Wang Ying's sins. Rather than letting Wang Ying's soul fly away under the thunder tribulation, it is better to let her be killed by Zhu Xiaodang. At least Wang Ying's soul is still there, and there is a possibility of reincarnation. Of course, with Wang Ying's sins, she will probably stay in hell for thousands of years. Wang Ying was killed by Zhu Xiaodang. At the moment of her death, a red light flew out of her body and flew quickly towards the sky. The red light should be the magic weapon left to her by Wang Ying's aunt. Mo Zhuan looked at the red light disappearing into the sky and frowned. Su Qingni signed one of his hands and comforted him, it's okay. If Wang Ying's aunt didn't know the truth and wanted to avenge Wang Ying, she wouldn't look for us. Even if she did, I wouldn't let her have an easy time. Mo Zhuan held Su Qingni's hand tightly and smiled at Su Qingni. He believed in his wife's strength, which was very strong, much stronger than him. His eyes were fixed on Su Qingni, trying to see if this person was a monster in disguise. He and Su Qingni had grown up together, but he didn't know that Su Qingni had such a powerful skill. She was only good at embroidery. Su Qingni saw through his thoughts at a glance and snorted, you can learn Taoism to increase your strength, so can I don't forget, I gave you those Taoist secrets. Zhu Xiaodang didn't see any monster aura in Su Qingni, and he felt a little relieved when he saw that she was indeed a human. Although Su Qingni had been at odds with him since childhood and they would quarrel whenever they met, they were friends who grew up together after all, and he didn't want this friend to be killed by a monster. You are learning Taoism, so you should slay monsters and eliminate evil. How can you be with monsters? Zhu Xiaodang questioned Su Qingni. Su Qingni said, I've said it before, there are good and bad people, there are good and bad monsters, you can't generalize. You have to look at the target when killing monsters, only the bad monsters should be killed, there are no evil monsters, killing them will only add to your sins. Zhu Xiaodang snorted, how can there be good monsters, they are all bad guys with ulterior motives. Su Qingni, you are too extreme. You are stimulated by Ding Ruoma's death? Hearing Su Qingni mention the woman she loves, Zhu Xiaodang's eyes turned red again, and he didn't say anything more to Su Qingni, and attacked Su Qingni and Mo Zhuan with a sword. Su Qingni wanted to attack, but Mo Zhuan stopped her, pulled her behind him, and met Zhu Xiaodang himself. Su Qingni knew that Mo Zhuan was considerate of her and thought that it was embarrassing for her to fight with a friend she grew up with, so she went up herself. The two are now evenly matched, and neither can do anything to the other. Su Qingni quickly made a barrier and let the two fight inside the barrier to prevent them from demolishing the entire villa. In the end, both of them were injured. Zhu Xiaodang did not stay and left the villa with injuries. However, Su Qingni threw him a bottle of healing medicine. After that, Zhu Xiaodang would come to the villa to fight with Mo Zhuan every once in a while. Just like Fei was determined to take by Suzhan and wanted to take by Niangniang, Zhu Xiadang was determined to kill Mozhuan. Su Qingni was a little worried at first, but then she saw that the two were evenly matched and neither could do anything to the other. If they got injured in the end, she would be able to save the person with her own ability, so she didn't care about them anymore. At least this is not bad. Zhu Xiadang has identified Mozhuan and will not trouble other monsters. The human world and the monster clan have their own laws. There are actually very few lawless evil monsters like Wang Ying. Zhu Xiadang wants to kill monsters and eliminate demons, and the most injured are innocent monsters. At that time, the sin of killing would be very heavy on his body, and the evil consequences of this sin of killing would be something Zhu Xiadang could not bear no matter what. As a friend who grew up together, Su Qingni did not want to see Zhu Xiadang end up in a miserable way. Chapter 733 My husband is a demon. 16. 3 years had passed since they had recovered from their injuries and fought again. Both Mozhuan and Zhu Xiadang had improved their strength in the fight, and both were just one step away from entering the next realm. On this day, the two started fighting again. Su Qingni sat aside and watched them, with a teacup and a plate of melon seeds beside her. Su Qingni cracked the melon seeds and occasionally said a few words to guide one of the two. At this moment, a red light attacked the two people who were fighting fiercely. Su Qingni stood up, squinted her eyes, and looked into the air. There stood a woman in a light yellow dress, with an air of fairy, but her expression was arrogant, as if she was superior. The two people in the fight felt something was wrong, and they tacitly blocked the attack of the red light together. The red light disappeared, and Mozhuan and Zhu Xiadang stood on the ground, looking at the woman in the air with a common hatred. Immortal. Zhu Xiadang frowned. Why would an immortal attack them? Or did this fairy only want to attack the monster Mozhuan, and she was just affected? It's a demon fairy. A fairy cultivated from the demon clan. Mozhuan's whole body was tense, and he spoke vigilantly. If I'm not mistaken, she should be Wang Ying's aunt. What? The aunt of that evil demon. Zhu Xiadang's impression of the fairy in the sky plummeted. No wonder that evil demon is so unscrupulous. It turns out he has a backer. With a niece like this, you can imagine what kind of character her elders have. Is this woman here to avenge the evil demon? Mozhuan nodded. Be careful, she is a celestial fairy, stronger than me. Zhu Xiadang snorted. No need for you to remind me. The fairy in the sky spoke. Zhu Xiadang, Mozhuan, and you, Su Qingni, you are all going to die today. I want to avenge my niece. It is true that like niece, like aunt, the two aunt and niece have the same character. Mozhuan did not make a move at that time, so he naturally stood by and watched Wang Ying being killed. He was also resented by Wang Ying's aunt. Both of them were of the character that they could let others down, but others must not let them down. Wang Ying's aunt also included Mozhuan in the list of people to be killed. Su Qingni sneered, but a little fairy dared to shout in front of her. This time she came to die, so she should not think about leaving again. Su Qingni did not make a move, and Zhu Xiadang took the lead. The gap between the strength of the fairy and the earth fairy was still very large. Even though Aunt Wang Ying's fighting skills were very poor, she relied on the difference in level to steadily suppress Zhu Xiadang and injured Zhu Xiadang. Mozhuan stepped forward to help Zhu Xiadang. Although Zhu Xiadang kept saying that he wanted to kill demons, and he did not hold back every time he fought him, Mozhuan still regarded Zhu Xiadang as a friend, and it was impossible for him to watch Zhu Xiadang being killed by Aunt Wang Ying. Moreover, Aunt Wang Ying also wanted to kill Mozhuan and Su Qingni, but she was their common enemy. Zhu Xiadang stopped asking for Mozhuan's help. His idea was the same as Mozhuan's, to eliminate the common enemy first. The conflict between him and Mozhuan would be dealt with later. The two joined forces to attack Aunt Wang Ying. The tacit understanding between them was cultivated in the constant fighting. When the two joined hands, the power was greater than the sum of the two. Aunt Wang Ying was not good at fighting, and she was actually in a mess when facing the two people's joint efforts. The two people increased the intensity of their attack and actually knocked the high-ranking fairy to the ground. The dust polluted the fairy's clothes and hands, making the fairy look extremely embarrassed. No, I am a fairy in the sky, you can't kill me. Aunt Wang Ying screamed. Zhu Xiadang stared at the fairy coldly, transferring all his hatred for Wang Ying to Aunt Wang Ying. Zhu Xiadang raised the long sword in his hand and chopped down at the fairy on the ground. Mozhuan did not stop it. Letting this fairy live would be a great threat to them. Since they had already torn their faces, they had to cut the grass and eradicate it. The fairy screamed and her body turned back to her original form, deader than dead. Su Qingni walked forward and handed each of the two people a pill. After all, the fairy was a celestial being, and it took them a lot of effort to defeat her. Everyone was seriously injured. You go and heal your wounds first, leave this to me. Zhu Xiaodong threw the pill into his mouth and turned away. Mo Zhuan obediently returned to the dormitory. A golden flame popped out from Su Qingni's fingertips, burning the body of the Oriole, which was the size of a person, into ashes. The flame was the Samadhi true fire, which could burn anything. Not even a slag was left of the Oriole's body in a short while. Su Qingni used magic to restore the damaged areas in the villa, and then went to the homes of the nearby people, casting spells one by one to eliminate their memories of seeing the fight between the gods. Su Qingni set up a barrier for the fight between Mo Zhuan and Zhu Xiaodong, so that people outside the villa could not see the scene of their fight. But Entwined appeared in the sky so high profile, highlighting that she was a fairy from heaven, so that many people saw it. Su Qingni had to take action to erase the memories of the people. As the saying goes, if you beat the young, the old will come. Entwined is not old, and there are older ones behind her. This time, a more powerful fairy came to the door again. Mo Zhuan and Zhu Xiaodong joined forces again. This time, the two risked their lives to eliminate the invading fairy, and were seriously injured and dying. Su Qingni pulled the two back from the brink of death. The two people had a lot of insights after this battle, and they immediately closed their wounds as soon as they recovered. Next, the two people began to survive the tribulation one after another. Fortunately, the number of lightning rods made by Su Qingni was enough. Su Qingni placed lightning rods for each of the two people, allowing them to successfully survive the thunder tribulation and become immortals. However, neither of them chose to ascend to heaven, and still chose to live in the human world. After the two successfully became immortals, someone came down from heaven again. The people who came down this time did not fight with them at the beginning, but returned to the heaven after carefully observing the strength level of the two people. After that, no immortals in the sky came to trouble them. After the incident with the immortals in the sky, Zhu Xiaodong's attitude also changed. There are good and bad immortals, and monsters are naturally friendly and bad. He now treats people, immortals, and monsters equally. With a change of attitude, Zhu Xiaodong no longer had the interest to fight with Mo Zhuan. It was rare to have a meal with Su Qingni and Mo Zhuan and his wife at Su Qingni's manor. He got drunk and left the next day. In the years that followed, Su Qingni never saw Zhu Xiaodong again. Su Qingni stayed in this world for a long time. Even when the netherworld was connected to this world early in the morning, Su Qingni did not leave. She had been with Mo Zhuan for thousands of years, until Mo Zhuan fell into the 5 decays of heaven and man, and Su Qingni left this world. Chapter 734 Profiler 1. Tang Rui has a secret that no one knows. She is the protagonist chosen by God, and she has a golden finger. The golden finger is not a portable space, nor a portable grandfather, but it is also very powerful. She dreams every day. In the dream, there is a very beautiful fairy who teaches her skills, martial arts, embroidery, traditional Chinese medicine, and even the places she doesn't understand in her studies. This fairy sister will explain to her. This is simply a portable tutor. Therefore, Tang Rui is sure that she is the protagonist and has the responsibility to save the world. Fist. Then the little girl was taught a lesson by the fairy in the dream. Such a middle school thought quickly slapped me out. If it weren't for the fact that the rules of this world are too restrictive, I wouldn't be able to find even a physical body, and I can only attach myself to you, a girl. With your carefree and careless personality, if the world depends on you to save it, it's better to just over it. Dear readers, you should have seen that this fairy in the dream is the protagonist of our book, Su Qingni. This time, Su Qingni came to a technological world without any extraordinary power. The rules of this world are very strict, so Su Qingni can't get any loopholes. Being able to enter this world has consumed a lot of Su Qingni's soul power. The remaining power is not enough to support her to get a body, so she can only attach to Tang Rui. Most of the time is spent on recuperating and restoring her soul power. Only at night does she enter Tang Rui's dream to train this little girl. There is no way. This little girl is too stupid, carefree, heartless, and lazy. If no one urges her to spare her, this girl will never have a future in this life. Maybe she will be a dependent when she grows up. and her parents are just ordinary people in a third-tier city, and there is not much family business for the little girl to rely on. Since she is attached to the little girl, Su Qingni will help the little girl in her own way, at least let the little girl become a useful and excellent person, have her own career in the future, be able to find a suitable person, and have a happy family. Su Qingni began to teach the little girl knowledge in her dream. The little girl's study was ordinary. The first thing Su Qingni did every day was to check the little girl's homework, and then take out a large stack of tutoring materials and test papers for the little girl to do. After doing more questions, the little girl's grades naturally improved. Originally, the little girl's grades ranked more than 20 in the class and more than 300 in the whole grade. After being taught by Su Qingni, the little girl's monthly test scores entered the top 10 in the class and the top 100 in the whole grade. The little girl's parents were very happy. They made a delicious meal to reward the little girl and bought her a laptop that she had been thinking about. The little girl burst into tears. It's not me who has been thinking about it, but the fairy sister who has been thinking about it. Mom and Dad, do you know that you bought a computer, and I have one more learning project? Although hackers sound cool, those coding and so on really make people dizzy. Su Qingni, dizzy? That's because my body is not yet polished. Hurry up and run 10 laps downstairs and do a set of boxing. Little girl, Cap, there is no supernatural power in this world, so don't even think about internal strength. Su Qingni only taught the little girl some external martial arts to give her the power to protect herself. However, these martial arts have their own physical strengthening effect. If the little girl keeps practicing, she will live 100 years without illness and pain. The little girl really has no talent in medicine. She can recite medical skills, but she is terrible at knowing medicinal materials. Su Qingni finally realized that the little girl was a scum in medicine and gave up teaching her medicine. The time in the dream was allocated like this: 1/4 of the time was spent reviewing school lessons and doing exercises, 1/4 of the time was spent learning martial arts, 1/4 of the time was spent learning computer technology, and the remaining 1/4 of the time was spent learning women's embroidery. The last item was requested by the little girl herself. The little girl loves beauty and wants to make beautiful clothes by herself, so she has to learn women's embroidery. And she has some talent in this area, so Su Qingni taught the little girl embroidery techniques such as shoe embroidery, Su embroidery, and Yu embroidery. During the winter vacation, the little girl made a set of tang suits for her parents. The little girl's parents were very surprised when they received the gifts, especially when they knew that the clothes were made by the little girl herself and the patterns on them were embroidered by the little girl. It turned out that their daughter was so talented in women's work. Will she become a fashion designer when she grows up? The little girl also considered this issue and thought it was a good choice. Otherwise, she would study design in the future. But not long after, the little girl changed her mind. During this winter vacation, 2 TV series were broadcast on TV, all of which were related to detective cases. One was the detective story of the young Qingxin, and the other was a foreign TV series Sherlock Holmes. After watching the 2 TV series, the little girl developed a strong interest in detective cases and reasoning. She not only bought world-famous detective novels such as the complete works of Sherlock Holmes, Murder on the Orient Express, and Murder on the Nile, but also bought the comics of Tokyo Twins. In addition to the time for study, the rest of the time during the winter vacation was spent reading detective novels and comics. After reading the novels and comics, the little girl announced her ideal to people: to be a very powerful detective when she grows up. The girl's parents, Su Qingni, poured cold water on the girl. Due to the national conditions of Rabbit Country, there are very few things detectives can do. Murder cases are the responsibility of the police uncles, and detectives can't even touch them. The most that detectives in Rabbit Country can do is to help people find evidence of cheating husbands or wives. The girl covered her chest. Fairy sister, don't you feel pain in your heart when you break the dreams of passionate girls so coldly? Su Qingni, no. I just want you to face the facts. The girl took a few deep breaths, put down her hands and said, then I'll be a police officer in the future. Su Qingni, well, this is a good choice. Then, after a while, the girl told Su Qingni with shining eyes that she didn't want to be a police officer anymore. She wanted to be a profiler. Criminal profiler. A very cool profession. Criminal profilers began to appear in the 1970s. It is a special profession that requires professional training. The little girl thought that the fairy sister in ancient costume must not know what a profiler is, so she excitedly told Su Qingni in detail, Profilers analyze the modus operandi, scene layout, criminal characteristics, etc. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 735 Profiler 2. Profilers analyze the criminal's modus operandi, scene layout, and criminal characteristics to outline the criminal's criminal mentality, and then further predict his race, gender, age, professional background, appearance, personality, and even the next move, so that the police can narrow the scope of the search and stop the continuation of criminal behavior in time. The little girl gestured and said excitedly. After saying a lot in one breath, the little girl concluded, profilers are actually detectives recognized by the public. The little girl clenched her fists. I will become a very powerful profiler in the future. Su Qingni chuckled. Profilers need to have delicate minds and the ability to observe details. With your carefree and clumsy personality, you can become a profiler. The little girl's face fell. Why does the fairy sister always like to hit herself? Shouldn't she encourage herself gently? Su Qingni, he. The girl looked serious and clenched her fist. I will correct those faults. I will become more careful, and I must become a profiler. Su Qingni, the current profiler profession in China is just starting, and the relevant majors are not as good as those abroad. If you want to be the best profiler, you'd better go abroad to study. But with your current grades, can you apply to foreign universities? With your family's conditions, if you don't get a full scholarship from a foreign university, you may not be able to go abroad. The girl, The girl said that she must work harder and harder to study, and she will definitely improve her grades so that foreign universities will be satisfied with her grades. Su Qingni nodded. In addition to schoolwork, the most important thing for you now is to pass the TOEFL/NIELTS. The girl asked Su Qingni for help. Please help, fairy sister. Fairy sister Su Qingni, don't worry, I will definitely train you to the same English level as the local people in the United States within half a year. The girl didn't understand. Why does the fairy sister know the languages of other countries? And she is so proficient? Isn't she a fairy from the rabbit country? Do the gods of different countries have exchanges with each other and can go abroad? Su Qingni, he. After that, the little girl lived a difficult life. She worked hard to improve her grades, and participated in various learning competitions under Su Qingni's advice, winning places, thus adding a glorious touch to her resume, so that she could have more confidence when applying for foreign universities. Because she was too busy, the little girl stopped studying as a female worker. Her current female worker was not good enough in ancient times, but it was already very good in modern times, and she was also presentable. In this way, the little girl ushered in the college entrance examination in her busy life. The little girl gained a lot during this period of hard study. She won the first prize in several national competitions and once represented the country in an international competition in electronic computer subjects and won the gold medal. Her grades in school have never dropped since she climbed to the first place in her grade. Many domestic universities have sent invitations to the little girl, making her teachers and parents very proud, and they are very active in helping the little girl choose a university. But the little girl refused them all. She told her parents and teachers that she wanted to study abroad. At this time, the girl's parents knew about her ideal. In this regard, the girl's parents blamed themselves and were proud of their daughter's ideal. They blamed themselves for not knowing their daughter's ideal and were proud of their daughter's excellence. The girl's parents firmly supported their daughter. They sold one of their 2 houses and used the money from the sale as the cost of the girl's study abroad. The girl was very moved and said that when she got a job, she would definitely buy a big house for her parents to live in. The college entrance examination results came out. The girl did not meet the expectations of her parents and teachers and got a very high college entrance examination score, becoming the provincial champion. After getting the results, the girl began to apply for foreign universities. Under Su Qingni's suggestion, the girl applied to the University of Maryland, College Park, the State University of New York at Albany, and the University of California, Irvine in the United States. The psychological criminology majors of these 3 universities are ranked in the world. The criminal psychology major of the University of Maryland is ranked first in the world, the State University of New York at Albany is ranked second in the world, and the University of California, Irvine is ranked 6th in the world. In the following days, in addition to attending the teacher appreciation banquet and the celebration banquet held by her parents for the girl's energy was all focused on the interviews of the 3 universities. Finally, the girl received an acceptance letter from the State University of New York at Albany. 2 other universities also admitted the girl, but only the State University of New York at Albany gave her a full scholarship, so the girl naturally chose the State University of New York at Albany. The State University of New York at Albany is not as famous as those famous Ivy League universities, but it is one of the oldest academies in the United States and one of the most comprehensive and powerful public universities in the Northeast of the United States. This university has a very high cost effectiveness, ranking among the top in the ranking of public universities in the United States, and has been nominated by Forbes for the most valuable university in the United States list many times. Moreover, this university has a very good relationship with the rabbit country, and has cooperative relations with many universities in the rabbit country, and often has exchange activities. The girl's parents are now very happy and proud, showing off the girl's admission letter everywhere, and have received envious and jealous eyes from neighbors and colleagues. Everyone is really envious and jealous. Why is the girl not their own child? She can go to college abroad after graduating from high school, and she also receives a full scholarship, without her parents worrying too much. It's simply amazing. The girl's future after graduation is definitely great. Everyone went home and saw their own children and they were not happy with them. They played mixed doubles and taught their disobedient and unimproving children a lesson, educating them to learn from the little girl. So the little girl became the most titled existence of all the children. 2 months later, the little girl boarded a plane to the United States. Because the family's financial conditions were not very good, her parents did not accompany the little girl to go abroad, and the little girl started to venture out alone. It is impossible to say that she is not afraid, but every day in her dreams, there is a fairy sister talking and chatting with the little girl, and the little girl's fear of leaving home soon disappeared. She is not alone, she has someone to accompany her. 4 years passed in a blink of an eye, and the little girl graduated from the Albany University with a master's degree. In these 4 years, the little girl was as busy as she was in high school. No, it should be even busier. In addition to studying the content of her major in criminal psychology, the little girl also studied the content of other majors. At the same time as getting a master's degree in criminal psychology, the little girl also got a master's degree in computer science and a bachelor's degree in economics. Chapter 736 Profiler 3. After graduation, the girl did not return to China immediately, but entered the Behavioral Analysis Unit, BAO, under the recommendation of her mentor. At first, because of her Asian identity, she was looked down upon in BAO and could only do some odd jobs and could not participate in case analysis. The girl was very depressed. Su Qingni comforted the girl, saying that gold will shine wherever it is, and if she is calm and seizes the opportunity, she will surely hit the target. The girl listened to her fairy sister and did chores without complaint, and then read the files in BAO to enrich herself. Finally, she waited for an opportunity. When other people in BAO were helpless about a case, the girl put forward opinions from another perspective, which refreshed everyone in BAO. Everyone in BAO conducted a profile according to the girl's opinions and found the real murderer. Since then, the girl has left her odd job and officially became a member of BAO. Su Qingni saw that the girl was getting better and better, so she practiced with confidence to restore the consumed power of the soul. This practice lasted for 2 years. She thought that no accidents would happen within 2 years, but people cannot be stubborn. The girl got into trouble during her practice. The girl made considerable achievements in the past 2 years. Needless to say, the work of BAO was completed very well, and her ability was recognized by colleagues in the entire department. The girl also published several papers and has a considerable reputation in the criminal psychology circle. A university in China invited the girl to become a professor in their school. Even if she could not return to China to teach students in person, she could teach through the internet. Such achievements inevitably made the girl swell. She was still young, had little experience, and without Su Qingni to teach her, the girl could not help but be a little confused about herself. As a result, some irreversible consequences were caused. During a case profiling, the girl's reasoning was biased, but she was still stubborn. Not only did she kill her colleague, but she was also seriously injured. She stayed in the intensive care unit for more than half a month before she was out of danger. Her body recovered, but her mind was in trouble. The girl could no longer do criminal profiling. She had no confidence in her profiling and could not do it at all. So, the girl left Bao and returned to China. She rejected the invitation of the university's related major and found a job that had nothing to do with psychological crime. Fortunately, she also studied computer and economics while studying criminal psychology, which made it easy for the girl to find a good job in a coastal city. The girl bought 2 houses with the money she earned in these years abroad. She didn't expect that the housing prices in the first-tier cities in China were so expensive, much more expensive than the housing prices in the first-tier cities abroad. The girl thought that the money she earned in these years could buy several houses and become a rent collector, but she didn't expect that she could only buy 2 houses, and one of them was a small apartment. The girl rented out the small apartment and lived in a big house with 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. She wanted to bring her parents to live with her. But her parents were used to the life in the small city and were unwilling to come to the big city. So the girl lived in the big house alone. The big house was empty, and the girl felt lonely living there. Therefore, except for sleeping, she liked to go to the small apartment to chat and play with her 2 tenants. The 2 tenants were also girls who came to the big city to work, and they were about the same age as the girl. The tenant who is 4 years older than the girl is called Xiao Yangsu, who works in a foreign company. The tenant who is 1 year younger than the girl is called Kong Shuangqiu, who has just graduated for less than a year and works as a handyman in a branch of a Fortune 500 group. There are 4 families on the entire floor. In addition to Su Qingni and the other 2, there are 2 girls living in the other 2 households. One of the girls is Chu Weiwei, whose English name is Vivian. She is also a returnee and is now a senior executive of a multinational company. The other girl is Fu Keixun, a second-generation rich girl who is now starting a business with her friends. For convenience, she moved out of her home and lived alone. They are all young girls of similar age, and the 5 girls can get along well and become good friends. The 5 people often go shopping and have dinner together. Considering the economic conditions of Xiao Zuian and Kong Shuangqiu, the 5 people usually have dinner at home, sometimes at the girl's home, sometimes at Chu Weiwei's home, and sometimes at Fu Keixun's home. The purchase of ingredients for the dinner is AA, and the chef is the girl. After Su Qingni's training, the girl's cooking skills are top-notch. The food she made is extremely delicious. The other 4 people praised it highly. They gave up the idea of losing weight and started thinking about the next meal after eating 1 meal. Chu Weiwei, Xiao Yangsu and Kong Shuangqiu helped the girl. They were all independent women and could cook, but their skills were not as good as the girls. Fu Keixun, a rich second generation, was brought up and could not cook, but it was not that she did not touch onion water. After every dinner, Fu Keixun was responsible for washing the dishes. The girls had different personalities, but they were all sincere to their friends. The girl's mental illness was recovering unconsciously while getting along with them. Tang Rui jumped out of bed and rushed into the bathroom to wash up. It was Monday again, and another busy week was about to begin. Oh, it would be great if I could not go to work. But thinking of her pitiful bank deposits, Tang Rui immediately threw this idea behind her. Holding a piece of bread in her mouth, Tang Rui opened the door and saw that the doors of the other 3 households were also open. Chu Weiwei and the other 3 also came out of the room with bread in their mouths. The 5 girls looked at each other and smiled. Tang Rui took a few bites of the bread and swallowed it into her stomach. She said to Xiao Yangsu, "Sister Xiao, let's go together." Xiao Yangsu hummed and followed Tang Rui to squeeze into the subway. The 2 of them envied the other 3 people very much. Chu Weiwei and Fu Keixun both had cars. Kong Shuangqiu's company was not far from Chu Weiwei's company. Kong Shuangqiu could take Chu Weiwei's car to the company and didn't have to squeeze into the subway like Xiao Zuian and Tang Rui. There are too many people in first-tier cities, especially in this international metropolis. There are so many people. Every morning when squeezing into the subway, Tang Rui felt like a braised pork stewed in a pot. When she got off the subway, she was almost boiled. Today was the same. On Monday morning, there were not too few white-collar workers who wanted to go to the office early to prepare. Tang Rui was sandwiched between 2 tall beauties. The height of the 2 made Tang Rui feel ashamed. She eats high-calorie food every day abroad, but her figure is still like stir-fried bean sprouts. Why is it so difficult to have a good figure? Chapter 737 Profiler 4. Tang Rui rolled her eyes and felt that it was difficult to breathe. If she were a man, she would enjoy the feeling of being squeezed by a beautiful woman, but she was a woman and she didn't like lesbians. Finally, The subway arrived at the station. Many people got off the train at this time. Tang Rui squeezed out of the train with the crowd and gasped for breath in a more open place. "Are you okay?" Xiao Yangsu squeezed over and gave Tang Rui a bottle of purified water. Tang Rui waved her hand, opened the bottle cap and drank a sip of water, feeling that she was alive. "I can't stand it anymore, I decided to buy a car," Tang Rui said. In the past 2 years, she has saved some money, which is enough to buy a car worth 200,000 or 300,000 yuan. But if she wants to buy a Jeep like Land Rover, the money in her hand is not enough. But now Tang Rui is really squeezed and can't stand it anymore. She doesn't care about her idea of driving a luxury car and decides to buy a car this weekend. "Okay, if you buy a car, I can ride for free and don't have to squeeze into the subway." Xiao Yangsu smiled, not hiding her intention to take advantage. In fact, with Xiao Yangsu's job, her monthly salary is 2,000 yuan higher than Tang Rui's. She should have saved hundreds of thousands of yuan in these years of work. However, Xiao Yangsu's family is from the countryside, and her younger brothers and sisters have to go to school. Half of her monthly salary is sent back home, so she doesn't have much savings. Xiao Yangsu usually takes advantage of everyone, but she takes advantage of them openly, so that everyone doesn't hate her and often takes care of her. "No problem, we don't have to go to get off work like sardines in a can in the future." Tang Rui put the bottle of purified water into her bag and said to Xiao Yangsu, "Let's go." The two were about to walk towards the exit when they heard a shrill scream, "Someone's dead." The whole subway was in chaos. The subway gates were closed, and all the passengers who got off the platform were gathered together. A temporary fence was set up outside, waiting for the police uncles to come and investigate. There was no way, based on the situation at the scene, the murderer could only be among these passengers. Tang Rui felt extremely annoyed. She took out a bottle of pure water and kept pouring water into her mouth. Her behavior was not abrupt. Many people had the same reaction as her. Everyone was afraid and anxious, and they were in a hurry to go to work. This time they were destined to be late and their bonuses would be deducted. Everyone called back to the company to ask for leave, and they didn't know whether the company would be flexible. "It's so unlucky that I encountered a murder case." Xiao Yangsu also took a bottle of water and drank it in small sips. When she didn't drink water, she complained out loud, "I don't know if the manager will be flexible for me, otherwise I won't get this month's bonus." Tang Rui didn't say anything. She became more and more irritated. The place where the body was located has been blocked, and the police uncles have also come. The current scene made her feel very familiar. Whether abroad or at home, the work processes of the police uncles are similar. She wanted to leave, but reality did not allow it. The murderer might be among them. The police uncles would not allow them to leave before questioning and registering everyone's information. Only when the murderer is found will they, the innocent people, be allowed to leave. So who is the murderer? Tang Rui looked in the direction of the body. The body was not far from where she and Xiao Yangsu had stood before. When the screams came, she habitually observed the body and the surrounding environment for a while. Alice, although she no longer does that job, professional habits have been formed, and it is not something that can be changed. Recalling the scene and environment of the body in her mind, Tang Rui's brain involuntarily began to analyze and profile. When she reacted, her eyes had already fallen on a woman. She was a very fashionable woman, about 30 years old. Although her facial features were ordinary, she was very good at makeup and dressing up, which raised her 5-point appearance to 8 points. She was also a beauty. However, this woman looked very frank, and there was no panic after killing someone. Did he profile it wrong? It must be her profile that was wrong. How could she make a correct profile in her current state? The profiles she made were all wrong, and would only harm others and herself. Tang Rui tightly grasped the bottle of purified water in her hand, and the plastic bottle was crushed by her in an instant, which made Xiao Yangsu on the side smack her mouth. Tang, you are really strong," Xiao Yangsu exclaimed. Tang Rui forced a perfunctory smile. She was not in the mood to joke with others. Xiao Yangsu thought that Tang Rui was worried about the company's affairs, so she didn't care about Tang Rui's attitude. She took out a tissue and handed it to Tang Rui. Just now, Tang Rui's hand spilled all the water in the plastic bottle, soaking Tang Rui's clothes. Tang Rui thanked her and lowered her head to wipe her clothes with a tissue. Her performance caught the eyes of the police uncle. The police uncle felt that Tang Rui was too nervous and thought that she was guilty. He actually listed Tang Rui as a key suspect. When taking notes, he asked Tang Rui as detailed as possible. Tang Rui was so smart and had worked in the FBI for many years. How could she not find that the police uncle regarded her as a suspect? She couldn't help but feel more annoyed and angry. She had a bad impression of the police uncles who investigated this case. Fortunately, Tang Rui had Xiao Yangsu to testify, and the police uncle finally ruled out Tang Rui's suspicion of murder. Time passed by little, and it was almost noon. The passengers who were trapped and unable to leave began to make a fuss, and the police uncles found the murderer. Tang Rui then discovered that there were profilers in China, and they seemed to be quite good. After following the police uncle's analysis, they found the murderer. And the murderer was the fashionable woman that Tang Rui had profiled before. Seeing the woman being taken away by the police uncles, Tang Rui felt incredible. This time, she actually succeeded in profiling and profiled a real murderer? Could it be that her psychological problems have been alleviated? Or was it a blind cat that met a dead mouse? Tang Rui frowned. Should she find time to see a psychologist? At this time, a man in police uniform stopped in front of Tang Rui and Xiao Yangsu. Tang Rui frowned and looked at the man who was called the captain by other police uncles. He was about 30 years old, handsome, and his legs were all below his waist. His figure was simply amazing. In addition, he was wearing a uniform, and his appearance was raised to a higher level. Many girls drooled at the captain. "Miss Tang, I'm sorry for being rude to you just now." The handsome captain came to apologize. Tang Rui snorted and ignored him. So what if he's handsome? She was in a bad mood and didn't feel like appreciating a handsome guy. Xiao Yangsu pulled Tang Rui's clothes and saw that Tang Rui still didn't want to talk to anyone. She had no choice but to help the willful neighbor deal with the police uncle in front of her. Chapter 738 Profiler 5. When she arrived at the company manager did not count Tang Rui as absenteeism and lateness. This time, too many people were trapped in the subway station, all of whom were white-collar workers working in nearby commercial buildings. The subway station incident had spread a long time ago, and the company bosses had heard about it. If it was a few employees from one or two companies who were blocked at the subway station, these company bosses might not be flexible, but this time there were too many employees who were blocked, and the company bosses had to be flexible. Tang Rui started working after lunch, but because she had something on her mind, her work efficiency was not high that afternoon. Fortunately, there was not much work on hand, so Tang Rui was able to go to work and leave on time. Xiao Zuayan was a bit miserable. She had a lot of work on hand and had to work overtime today. Tang Rui walked with her head down in a listless manner, and bumped into someone without paying attention. The man had his back to Tang Rui and was talking on the phone with someone. As a result, he was hit by Tang Rui from behind, and the phone in his hand flew out directly. Fortunately, the phone was of good quality and was not broken. There was also a voice from the other end of the phone asking what happened. Sorry. Tang Rui quickly covered her nose and apologized to the person. The man's back was straight and Tang Rui's nose hit it directly, which hurt so much that she burst into tears. Be careful when you walk. The man was caught in an unexpected disaster, but he behaved quite gentlemanly. He did not curse Tang Rui, but only reminded her with a slightly dissatisfied tone, then walked towards his mobile phone with long legs, picked up the phone, and continued to talk to someone. Tang Rui nodded to the man embarrassedly, quickened her pace, and quickly walked out of the man's sight. When she returned home, Tang Rui turned on her computer and brought up Facebook. Seeing the list of friends on it, Tang Rui hesitated and was in a daze. In the end, Tang Rui did not contact anyone on it and turned off the computer. The next day, she went to work as usual. The lives of white-collar workers were not affected by the case at the subway station. 5 days later, it was the weekend again. Several girls on this floor decided to have a meal outside, mainly to help Tang Rui and Xiao Zuayan get rid of bad luck. Several girls gathered their opinions and decided to go to a newly opened Japanese restaurant to eat Japanese food. At the restaurant, several girls met Chu Weiwei's boss, a very charming tall, rich and handsome man. He was young and promising, but he was in control of the entire group in his 30s. Well, this was partly due to his parents, so it was not worth praising too much. He was tall and handsome, which was worth praising more. He was very handsome, tall and long-legged, and his temperament was elegant with a little unruly, which was full of temptation to women. Not to mention that he was rich, just his appearance alone would make many women want to get him. Tang Rui blinked her eyes. Chu Weiwei's boss looked familiar. Where had she seen him? Searching her memory, oh, it turned out to be the man she bumped into on Monday when she got off work. This man's performance was really good at the time, and now he is so graceful in front of their friends who are white-collar subordinates. He is a good man. I wonder if he has a girlfriend? Of course, Tang Rui has no intention of hooking up with a rich man. She has always been very self-aware and has no hope of dating a rich second generation. In the circle of rich people, it is still very important to be well matched. The second generation of rich people will pursue girls who are not in the same circle to fall in love, but few of them can get married in the end. Wow, Weiwei, your boss is so handsome. Does he have a girlfriend? Tang Rui heard Kong Shuoqiu's excited voice. Well, this is how a normal girl behaves when she meets a tall, rich and handsome guy. Without waiting for Chu Weiwei to answer, Fu Keixun excitedly told everyone about the information of this handsome guy named Qi Zuzhen. Fu Keixun and Qi Zuzhen are people in the same circle. Although they don't know each other, they have heard of each other's names. Moreover, Fu Keixun is a gossipy person. She has collected a lot of information about Qi Zuzhen, such a handsome guy. Qi Zuzhen has quite a few girlfriends, although they are all past tense. He is a famous playboy in the circle. I advise you not to think about conquering this playboy. It is easy to become Qi Zuzhen's girlfriend. Although he is a little picky about his girlfriends, he does not care about their family background. As long as they are good-looking and have no major problems, they have the opportunity to become Qi Zuzhen's girlfriend. But he changes girlfriends too quickly. This person is very picky about his girlfriends. If there's anything about his girlfriend that makes him dissatisfied, it will immediately become a thing of the past. Fu Keixun talked a lot. In addition to showing off her gossip skills, she also warned her friends that handsome guys are good, but they can only be admired from a distance and not touched up close, otherwise they should be prepared to be dumped. Fu Keixun especially warned Chu Weiwei, you can't like Qi Zuzhen just because you have more contact with him. Chu Weiwei said, don't worry, I know very well what kind of person he is. He and I have been classmates since high school. He has had several girlfriends, and I know them all. What, you knew each other so early? Fu Keixun was surprised. Chu Weiwei nodded, I have seen many of Qi Zuzhen's dark histories, how could I possibly like him? Everyone chatted about the handsome guy and ate a delicious meal, and returned to their residence happily. On the way, Fu Keixun received a call. Her coquettish tone to the person on the phone made everyone's ears perk up. Is that a male voice on the phone? The voice doesn't sound very old, so it shouldn't be Fu Keixun's father. Fu Keixun only has a younger brother who is still in high school, but no older brother. Who is the man on the other end of the phone? Fu Keixun hung up the phone and faced several pairs of bright eyes full of gossip. Why are you looking at me like that? Fu Keixun shrank back in fear. Kong Shuoqiu chuckled and said, tell me the truth, who is that person on the other end of the phone? Is he your boyfriend? No. Fu Keixun knew why they were so angry, and said, that's my uncle. Uncle. He doesn't sound old. Fu Keixun rolled her eyes and said, my uncle is only a generation older than me, of course he's not old, he's still in his prime. She chuckled and said, well, my uncle is a diamond bachelor, do you want to apply to be my aunt? I can help you and assist you. The sisters answered her with a few he. Tang Rui found that since the subway station incident, she encountered more cases. Well, of course, it's not like a primary school student who encounters dead people every time she goes out, but encountering twice in a month is very unusual compared to ordinary people. Although Tang Rui only passed by the crime scene occasionally, she was not even a witness at the scene. Chapter 739 Profiler 6. Although Tang Rui only occasionally passed by the crime scene and was not even a witness at the scene, it was still very delayed to encounter such a situation. This time, Tang Rui encountered another case. Unfortunately, this time she became one of the witnesses at the scene. Inevitably, she became irritable again. Tang Rui frowned and looked very ugly. A hand stretched out from the side, holding a bottle of mineral water. Tang Rui looked along the arm and saw a man with extraordinary temperament. The man said, drink some water to relieve your mood. Thank you. Tang Rui took the water, opened the lid and drank a sip. Everyone will be afraid and irritable when seeing a dead person for the first time. The man sat next to Tang Rui, with a soothing voice, I know a good psychologist. If you need it, I can give you her name and phone number. Thank you, no need. Tang Rui politely refused. Are you kidding? She has seen too many dead people. Now even if she is asked to eat steak in front of a dead body, she can still eat it with relish. She just her brain began to analyze and profile uncontrollably again. Tang Rui's eyes involuntarily began to observe the people and environment around her. Her brain quickly analyzed and fell into deep thought. The man next to her was the first person to discover the murder. He was stopped by the police uncles and was not allowed to leave immediately, which delayed him a lot of things. He saw that Tang Rui and he were in the same situation, and saw that the girl looked scared and irritable, so he came to comfort her and help her by the way. Unexpectedly, she didn't appreciate his kindness and went straight into a daze. The man didn't have a good temper. Tang Rui ignored him, so he naturally stopped coming up. He just sat aside and waited for the police uncles to conduct an on-site investigation and let them leave. The man took out his mobile phone and sent a few messages to his assistant. When he looked up, he found that the woman sitting next to him had stopped dazed and her eyes stayed on a person in the crowd. Did she see an acquaintance? But the look in her eyes didn't seem like it, or she changed her angle and way to continue dazed. After about half an hour, the capable police uncle solved the case and caught the murderer on the spot. The man was surprised to find that the murderer caught by the police uncles was the person the woman next to him had been staring at. Was this a coincidence, or did the woman next to him find out who the murderer was before the police uncles? The man shook his head and denied the latter guess. A young girl can be more powerful than the police uncles. After being allowed to leave, Tang Rui stood up and saw Captain Yang at a glance. She already knew Captain Yang's full name, Yang Zimo. Yang Zimo was surprised that he had seen Tang Rui twice in 2 months, and at the crime scene. He didn't know whether to sigh about the girl's bad luck. Could this person be possessed by Conan? Miss Tang, do you like reading comics very much? Captain Yang asked. Tang Rui immediately understood what he meant and chuckled twice. I like it. I not only read Detective Conan, but also Kandachi. Captain Yang smiled awkwardly, said goodbye to Tang Rui, and watched Tang Rui get into a taxi and drive away. The teammate next to him walked up to Captain Yang and said, could this Miss Tang really be possessed by Conan? This is the 3rd time I've seen her at the murder scene. Isn't it the 2nd time? How come there's one more time? Captain Yang asked. The teammate replied, Miss Tang was also there at the previous murder at Rongjing building, but she wasn't a witness at the scene, but was one of the passers-by. I saw her among the onlookers. Another teammate sighed, to have encountered 3 murders in 2 months, this luck is simply amazing. The man happened to hear the conversation between the 3 people and had the same idea as them, thinking that Tang Rui was possessed by Conan. Did she refuse to introduce him to a psychologist? It turned out that she had seen corpses several times and was no longer afraid. The man couldn't help but sympathize with Tang Rui. He didn't care that Tang Rui had ignored him and rejected his kindness before. He thought Tang Rui was an interesting girl, and if they were lucky enough to meet again, he could invite her to have a meal together. The company cooperated with other companies, and Tang Rui, as one of the participating employees, followed the boss and colleagues to the other company. After sitting down in the other company's meeting room, the other company's president came to the meeting room with his subordinates. Tang Rui looked at the other company's president. He looked familiar. I've seen him before. After thinking about it, it turned out to be the unlucky guy who found the body a few days ago. The other party felt Tang Rui's sight and turned to look over. Tang Rui smiled at the man in a friendly way. The man seemed to recognize Tang Rui and nodded at her. This move was seen by many people in the meeting room, but no one asked Tang Rui whether she knew the man, and only wrote it down. Tang Rui was sure that when she returned to the company, she would definitely be summoned by her boss's superior. However, she had only met the other company's president once, and it was impossible for the boss and superior to get more benefits from the other company through her. The man's name was Fu Hongxi, a very capable president, and his subordinates were all elites. The people in Tang Rui's company were almost suppressed by the other company and were almost led by the nose by the other party. Fortunately, the boss of the company was able to withstand the pressure and did not surrender immediately. Instead, he left the other company with his men, saying it needs to be studied and discussed. When Tang Rui returned to the company, she was summoned by the boss. However, Tang Rui and Fu Hongxi did not know each other, and their only interaction was the murder case. They could not talk at all. The boss was disappointed and waved Tang Rui out of the office. In the evening, Tang Rui got off work and walked out of the subway station. She had already bought a car, but Xiao Zuan had something to do in a nearby city today, so she borrowed her car. She could only take the subway to go home. After walking for a while, a car drove over and slowed down to the same speed as her walking speed. The car window opened, revealing a somewhat familiar face. "Miss Tang, where are you going? I'll take you there." This man was Chu Weiwei's boss Qi Zuzhen. He had met him at a Japanese restaurant last time. Unexpectedly, Qi Zuzhen remembered all of them girls. "Thank you." Tang Rui did not refuse pretentiously. She opened the car door and got into the passenger seat. "I'm going home. Sorry to trouble you, Mr. Qi." "No trouble." Qi Zuzhen was very gentlemanly. "I'm going to look for Weiwei. Weiwei hasn't got off work yet, right? She took a leave this afternoon because she was not feeling well. I was just about to go see her." "You're such a good boss to your employees." Tang Rui was sure that Qi Zuzhen had a special feeling for Chu Weiwei, but this was just her own feeling. She would never say it out loud without confirmation. Chapter 740 Profiler 7. Wait a minute. Seeing that the elevator was about to close, Tang Rui called out. The people in the elevator heard the sound, pressed the door open button, and the elevator door opened again. Tang Rui and Qi Zuzhen walked into the elevator and thanked the people inside. "Mr. Fu, it's you." Qi Zuzhen recognized the man in the elevator and greeted the people in the elevator in a friendly manner. "Mr. Qi." The man responded to Qi Zuzhen. Tang Rui recognized the man as the one who comforted her at the murder scene and said that he was the one who introduced her to a psychologist, so she nodded to him. Fu Hongxi also recognized Tang Rui, the girl possessed by Conan, raised his eyebrows, and nodded in response. "Why did Mr. Fu come to this community?" Qi Zuzhen asked curiously. "This community is just a medium-sized community. Even if a wealthy CEO like Fu Hongxi moved out of the Fu family to live on his own, he would not live in such a community. Like him, he also moved out of the Qi family and lived in a high-end community. If he was not looking for Chu Weiwei, he would not come to this community at all. Mr. Qi is also coming to this community." Fu Hongxi glanced at Tang Rui beside Qi Zuzhen and showed an understanding expression. Qi Zuzhen saw that Fu Hongxi had misunderstood and explained, "I came to see one of my capable subordinates. Miss Tang is my subordinate's neighbor. It happened to be on the way, so I sent Miss Tang back. I came to see my niece. She lives in this community." Fu Hongxi also explained the reason for his visit. He came to visit his niece. His surname is Fu. Tang Rui thought she knew who Fu Hongxi was. "Miss Tang, we meet again. I am Fu Hongxi." Fu Hongxi extended his hand to Tang Rui. Tang Rui extended her hand and shook hands with Fu Hongxi, saying, "I am Tang Rui. Thank you Mr. Fu for your advice and kindness to me last time." Fu Hongxi said, "I am too nosy. Miss Tang does not need my advice." Tang Rui said, "Mr. Fu's bottle of mineral water is very helpful to me." Qi Zuzhen asked in confusion, "Do you know each other?" Tang Rui said, "I have met." She did not say where she had met him. Meeting at the murder scene was not a pleasant memory, so she did not want to say more. Qi Zuzhen was very considerate and didn't ask any more questions. The elevator stopped at the 25th floor, and the three of them walked out of the elevator. Qi Zuzhen smiled in surprise and said, "What a fate, my subordinate and Mr. Fu's niece actually live on the same floor." Fu Hongxi looked at Tang Rui. "Miss Tang, you knew it a long time ago, right?" Tang Rui smiled and nodded. "I knew it when Mr. Fu introduced himself. Cake Suan did tell us that there is a tall, rich and handsome uncle like you." Fu Hongxi's eyes flashed with a smile, and he said, "Cake Suan should have something else to say, right?" Tang Rui remembered Fu Cake Suan's words about letting several girls be her aunts, smiled, and didn't answer. Fu Hongxi understood. He knew very well what kind of character his niece was. The three of them separated in the corridor. Tang Rui returned to her rental house, and the other two went to find the people they were looking for. Back in her room, Tang Rui turned on the computer, and after hesitating for a long time, Tang Rui finally contacted the person she hadn't contacted for a long time. But in a short while, a huge amount of information poured into her chat software, all of which were excited expressions and the words "Welcome back. Tang Rui, I haven't decided whether to return or not. Friends, we are waiting for you." Tang Rui had no choice. "Let's wait until my psychological report comes out." Friends, we are waiting for you. The WeChat notification sounded, and Tang Rui picked up her phone and saw that it was a message sent by Fu Keixun in the girlfriends group established by several girls. Fu Keixun, sisters, let's have dinner together tonight, my uncle will treat us. Fu Keixun, my uncle is really a diamond bachelor, sisters, come on, I look forward to one of you becoming my aunt. She also sent a picture of her little baby making a fist. Everyone. Kong Shuangqiu, is your uncle handsome? Send us a photo. If he is really handsome, I will go for him. Fu Keixun, I dare not take a photo. Anyway, I will see the real person in a while, why look at the photo? Kong Shuangqiu, okay, I will wait to see the real person. Xiao Yangsu, I am only interested in the big meal. Kong Shuangqiu, Sister Yangsu, you don't look like that. Haven't you always wanted to find a tall, rich and handsome man to marry as soon as possible? Now the opportunity is right in front of you, why do you give up? Tang Rui smiled and sent a message. This shows that Sister Yangsu is in a good mood. She must have a partner, so she doesn't care about other handsome guys. Fu Keixun, Sister Yangsu, please tell me quickly. Xiao Yangsu, oh, I haven't succeeded yet. I just have a little affection for him. When I succeed, I will introduce you to each other and treat you to dinner. Kong Shuangqiu, okay, I'm waiting for your meal. Chu Weiwei, can I bring one more person? Fu Keixun, who? Your boyfriend? Chu Weiwei, no, it's Mr. Qi. I didn't feel well this afternoon, so I went home to rest. Mr. Qi came to my house to see me. He originally invited me out for dinner, but I received a WeChat message from Keixun, and Mr. Qi said he wanted to go with us. Fu Keixun, okay, it's more lively with more people. It's just right that Mr. Qi is here and can talk to my uncle. Xiao Yangsu, Weiwei, that Mr. Qi doesn't like you and wants to pursue you, right? Chu Weiwei, how is that possible? I have known him for such a long time, if he wanted to pursue me, he would have done so a long time ago. We are friends. Kong Shuangqiu, you treat him as a friend, but he may not treat you as a friend. Chu Weiwei, haha, if he really likes me, why would he find so many girlfriends and let me know? Fu Keixun, that's right. Tang Rui, maybe he himself doesn't know that he likes you. Chu Weiwei, how is that possible? Xiao Yangsu, how can it be impossible? I think what Tang Tang said makes a lot of sense. Kong Shuangqiu, I support the upstairs. Fu Keixun, I support the upstairs. Chu Weiwei, I won't tell you anymore. Fu Keixun, don't leave your family members alone when you are angry. Remember to bring Mr. Qi. Tang Rui changed her clothes and went out, and heard Fu Keixun knocking on the door. Tang Rui opened the door and went out, and met Fu Hongxi, while Fu Keixun had already knocked on Chu Weiwei's door. Miss Tang. Fu Hongxi greeted Tang Rui with a smile. Tang Rui responded with a smile. Fu Hongxi asked, since that day, has Miss Tang encountered such a thing again? Tang Rui, Mr. Fu, it's bad luck to encounter such a thing once, right? How is it possible to always encounter such a thing? Fu Hongxi smiled softly, but I heard from the police gentleman that the time you met me was the third time you encountered such a thing. You encountered it 3 times in 2 months, Miss Tang, your luck is comparable to Conan. Tang Rui, the police uncles are so gossipy. Tang Rui forced a fake smile, I'm sorry to disappoint Mr. Fu. Since the last time, I haven't encountered a murder case again. Chapter 741 Profiler 8. People should not be too stubborn. Just half a month after Tang Rui said that, she encountered another murder. Coincidentally, Fu Hongxi was also at the scene. The two looked at each other. Captain Yang and his team members looked at Tang Rui with an expression of you are really possessed by Conan, which made Tang Rui's teeth ache. Fu Hongxi sat next to Tang Rui and wanted to talk to her, but found that Tang Rui was already in a trance. He stopped talking and silently observed Tang Rui. Look carefully, this girl is really good looking. Although her facial features are only above average, her skin is very good, extremely white and delicate. Looking at it carefully, it seems that her skin will glow, making the woman like the most perfect pearl. This girl's temperament is even more extraordinary. Although she tried her best to disguise herself as an ordinary white-collar worker, Fu Hongxi, who was born with a strong intuition, still felt an extraordinary breath from Tang Rui, making this girl look mysterious and full of temptation. Fu Hongxi found that Tang Rui's eyes blinked and she came back from a trance. He saw Tang Rui's eyes turn to a man. That man was one of the people involved in this case and was listed as a suspect by the police. Fu Hongxi remembered that Tang Rui had been staring at someone last time, and the police officers finally determined that the man was the murderer. Now Tang Rui is staring at someone again. Could this person be the murderer? Impossible, right? Can Tang Rui be so powerful? Can she find out who the murderer is before the police experts? Intellectually, Fu Hongxi thought it was impossible, but his intuition told him that this girl might have really discovered the murderer first. Although he didn't understand how this girl found out, he couldn't help but become more interested in this girl. Sure enough, the police officers found the murderer, who is the person Tang Rui had been staring at. This girl is indeed extraordinary. Fu Hongxi was sure that he was interested in this girl, so he would take the initiative. He invited Tang Rui. We are destined to be together, right? Do you want to have a meal together to get rid of the bad luck? Tang Rui nodded. She was keenly aware of Fu Hongxi's interest in her. Although she had never thought of becoming Fu Keixun's aunt, she showed goodwill and looked so good, so Tang Rui did not refuse. The two had a pleasant dinner. In addition to the delicious food, the two found that they were unexpectedly in tune with each other and could talk to each other. Fu Hongxi was very surprised. He did not expect that the little girl knew so much and Tang Rui could connect with any topic. After a meal, Fu Hongxi became more interested in Tang Rui. In the following days, Fu Hongxi pursued Tang Rui. Fu Keixun was very happy when she knew about it, and helped her uncle to assist. Tang Rui originally did not want to accept Fu Hongxi's pursuit. As she had thought before, she and Fu Hongxi were not in the same circle. The family backgrounds of the two were too different. The Fu family should not want an ordinary girl like her to be a daughter-in-law. Fu Keixun dispelled her concerns. Grandpa and Grandma have been urging my uncle to get married, but my uncle doesn't even have a girlfriend. In the end, Grandpa and Grandma were helpless and just said that my uncle just likes men. As long as he has a partner, they don't object. Now that my uncle has not found a man, but has found you, Grandpa and Grandma will definitely be very happy. As for family background, my family doesn't care at all. My family's business does not need to rely on marriage to expand and maintain. My parents didn't get married because of their family background. They fell in love and walked together. With Fu Keixun's words, Tang Rui decided to give Fu Hongxi a try and accepted Fu Hongxi's pursuit. Fu Hongxi is a very good boyfriend. He is very attentive to his girlfriend and often uses some romantic means to make Tang Rui happy and make others envy Tang Rui. The sisters on the same floor said that Tang Rui must have saved the entire galaxy in her previous life to have such a good boyfriend. Tang Rui always laughed heartily when she heard her sister's words, but she always felt that something was wrong in her heart. But she didn't think about it carefully. Now she still enjoys the life of being pampered by her boyfriend. She has contacted the psychologist who counseled her before. During this period, the psychologist talked to her many times through online video. The psychologist determined that Tang Rui's psychological problems had been eliminated, but she had to go to the United States in person to let the doctor diagnose her in detail and issue a certificate of recovery. Then she could do her favorite job again. Tang Rui submitted her resignation to the company and prepared to go abroad. She had not had time to tell Fu Hongxi and the sisters on the first floor about these things. Fu Hongxi and the sisters were very busy during this period. Chu Weiwei and Qi Zuzhen went abroad on business. Xiao Yangsu was also in love and spent all her weekends on dates. Kong Shuoqi was busy with a probation period and became a regular employee. She worked overtime until late every day and had to work on weekends. Fu Keixun had taken a fancy to a handsome guy and was trying hard to pursue him. She was very busy. As for Fu Hongxi, Tang Rui knew that he was very busy during this period, but she didn't know what he was busy with until Tang Rui met Fu Hongxi holding a little boy of 6 or 7 years old one day. The little boy held him and called him Dad. Tang Rui called Fu Keixun back that day when she was circling around a handsome guy, and asked Fu Keixun in a domineering manner, "Tell me, did your uncle have a white moonlight girlfriend before?" Fu Keixun's eyes rolled around, and she didn't dare to look at Tang Rui. Tang Rui pinched Fu Keixun's chin and forced her to look at her. "Keixun, I treat you as a good sister, you can't always cheat your sister, right?" Fu Keixun sighed and said, "Tang Rui, that's all in the past. That woman has been married for a long time, and my uncle has nothing to do with her. My uncle likes you now, I can see it." Tang Rui chuckled. Sure enough, There is a white moonlight. Kexun, you should not know yet, your uncle is a father. What? Fu Kexun jumped up in shock and looked at Tang Rui's lower abdomen with a magical look. Tang Rui slapped her face to the side and said unhappily, "It's not me, I'm not pregnant." Neither of them had exercised, how could she be pregnant? Then my uncle. Fu Kexun thought of a possibility and was extremely shocked. Impossible. Nothing is impossible. I saw your uncle with a very pretty woman 3 hours ago. Your uncle was holding a child of 6 or 7 years old. The child called your uncle dad and the woman mom. Tang Rui said coldly. She was in a bad mood. Fu Hongxi was not Tang Rui's first love, but he was the only one she took seriously. She didn't expect that he was not sincere to her. How could she feel good? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 742 Profiler 9. It's a very simple dog blood love triangle. When Fu Hongxi was in college, he fell in love with Bai Guang, the first love of the school beauty, and Bai Guang also fell in love with Fu Hongxi. Who said Fu Hongxi is handsome, rich and so outstanding? However, Bai Guang has a childhood sweetheart who has always cared for her and loved her. Bai Guang is not without feelings for her childhood sweetheart, but she is more attracted to Fu Hongxi, who is rich and handsome. Fu Hongxi and Bai Guang became a couple. The childhood sweetheart did not give up and silently waited for Bai Guang, which moved Bai Guang. Later, Fu Hongxi went abroad to study and start a business, and became very busy. He would not return to China once a year, and the time for phone and video chat with Bai Guang became less and less. Bai Guang couldn't stand the long-distance relationship and thought that Fu Hongxi didn't love herself anymore, and used the excuse of busy studies and work to alienate herself. So Bai Guang proposed to divorce Fu Hongxi and turn to the arms of the childhood sweetheart who had always spoiled her and waited for her. But once a person gets something, he will not cherish it, but if he doesn't get it, he will always think about it and keep it in his heart. After Zuma and Bai Guang got married, various problems in life emerged, which gradually wore away Zuma's feelings for Bai Guang. In the end, Zuma had another woman outside, a woman who put Zuma in the most important position and took care of Zuma wholeheartedly. Instead of being like Bai Guang, who only enjoyed Zuma's care, she never sympathized with Zuma for taking care of Zuma. Another point is that Bai Guang gave birth to a son 9 months after marrying Zuma, and even Bai Guang didn't know whether the son was Zuma's or Fu Hongxi's. Zuma used to love Bai Guang deeply, and loved the house and the whole family, and also loved this son, thinking that this son was his. But after the relationship deteriorated, the child became a thorn in Zuma's heart, and he increasingly suspected that the child was not his own, and that he had been helping his rival raise his son. The two factors combined, and Zuma divorced Bai Guang. Bai Guang has been taken care of too well by Zuma over the years. She has the ability to be independent but is unwilling to be self-reliant. She only wants to rely on men to raise and care for her. Since Zuma does not admit that his son is his, then the son is Fu Hongxi's. So, Bai Guang brought her son to Fu Hongxi. Facing Bai Guang and his son, and comparing with a girlfriend who had been dating for less than 3 months, how should Fu Hongxi choose? Tang Rui felt that the result of the choice was obvious. After coming out of Fu Kexun's room, Tang Rui sent a message to Fu Hongxi, break up. Fu Kexun also sent a message to Fu Hongxi, telling Tang Rui what he knew about his relationship with Bai Guang. At this time, Fu Hongxi's attention was all on taking care of the child who called him dead and Bai Guang, who looked pitiful. He did not pay attention to his mobile phone text messages, and did not reply to text messages in time to deal with his girlfriend's problems in time. Tang Rui has not received a reply, smiled self-deprecatingly, and blocked Fu Hongxi's phone number. The ticket to Citigroup is tomorrow, and she has also resigned from the company, so she can leave directly tomorrow. The next day, Tang Rui took a plane to leave the country. When she was still on the plane, Fu Hongxi finally saw the text messages between her and Fu Kexun, and his face suddenly darkened. He didn't expect Tang Rui to see him, Bai Guang and the child together. He had thought that he would go to Tang Rui after dealing with Bai Guang's affairs. Who would have thought that it would be such a coincidence? He used to like Bai Guang very much, but it has been so many years, and the feelings have long been let go. How could he still like Bai Guang? It is even more impossible for him to open his arms and accept Bai Guang just because Bai Guang shed a few tears. He is a person with misophobia and doesn't want to take over second-hand goods. And just because Bai Guang put a straw-colored hat on him because she couldn't stand the long-distance relationship, he would never be with this woman again. The reason why he still dealt with Bai Guang was all for the child. But he was not as stupid as Zuma. If it was his own child, wouldn't he do a DNA test? If the child was really his, he would negotiate with Bai Guang to see whether Bai Guang wanted the child or the money, and then decide whether to keep the child with him. If it was not his child, he would send the DNA test results to Azuma. As for Bai Guang, he went wherever he felt comfortable. Now the DNA results came out, and the child was indeed not his. He was about to get rid of Bai Guang, but his girlfriend broke up with him. This is simply too much. Fu Hongxi looked at Bai Guang with an even more unfriendly look. Fu Hongxi took a photo of the DNA report, sent it to Zuma, and then threw the DNA report at Bai Guang. Fu Hongxi's cold expression frightened Bai Guang. The man in front of him was so scary. He was no longer the young man who liked her and cared for her before. She felt that if she pestered this man again, this man would definitely not let her have an easy time. After seeing the results of the DNA report, Bai Guang didn't dare to stay any longer, and left in disgrace with her son. What was waiting for her was Zuma's action to snatch her son. After Zuma knew that the child was his, he naturally wanted to take his son back. Zuma's ex-husband was successful in his career. Even though he cheated, the ex-husband had evidence that Bai Guang ran to find another man, and Bai Guang herself did not have independent financial ability. Naturally, the child was awarded to Zuma. Zuma took his son away. Bai Guang got nothing, and her son no longer belonged to her. It can be said that it was a waste of time. After Bai Guang left, Fu Hongxi called Tang Rui immediately, but unfortunately he heard a prompt tone: "The number you dialed cannot be connected temporarily, please call again later." What else is there to not understand? Unable to get a reply from her, Tang Rui directly blocked his phone number. Unable to find anyone on the phone, Fu Hongxi could only go to Tang Rui's company to find someone, but the result was that Tang Rui had resigned. She actually resigned. Tang Rui doesn't seem like an irrational girl who quits her job after a breakup. Did he hurt her too much? He loves her deeply, so he can't accept that he has another woman? This idea made Fu Hongxi happy. He wanted to find Tang Rui urgently. He wanted to explain it clearly to Tang Rui. He wanted to hold this girl tightly and not let this girl misunderstand him. Fu Hongxi went to Tang Rui's residence and met his eldest niece, but he didn't see his girlfriend. Finally, he heard from his girlfriend's tenant that his girlfriend had gone abroad. A bolt from the blue. His girlfriend left the country. Although he knew that she went to the United States was so big, how could he find someone? He just concealed it for a while and neglected it for a while, and he lost his girlfriend. Fu Hongxi smashed his phone and resented Bai Guang. Since she had left his event a long time ago, why did she come back? His dear girlfriend, he couldn't see her anymore, and he realized that he fell in love with this girl and wanted her to be his wife. Chapter 743 Profiler 10. Fu Hongxi was very depressed after losing his girlfriend and future wife. Fortunately, Tang Rui's tenant said that Tang Rui was just going to the United States to do business and would come back after the work was done. She would not stay in the United States for a long time. Fu Hongxi was slightly relieved. When Tang Rui came back, he would immediately explain to Tang Rui and resolve the misunderstanding. Fu Kexun lit a row of candles for her uncle and turned to share the news with the Fu family group. After the Fu family knew about Fu Hongxi's incident, they followed suit. Grandma Fu replied, "It's what she deserves. I thought that woman was not a good person at the beginning." At that time, Fu Hongxi's eyes must have been covered with cow dung. Grandpa Fu's message: "The misunderstanding has been resolved. Bring the girl home and let us meet her." Fu Hongxi replied with an expression of guarantee to complete the task. Let's put Fu Hongxi aside and turn our attention to Tang Rui. Tang Rui got off the plane and saw two familiar people. "Hi, Tang, we are here." The brown-haired woman waved vigorously at Tang Rui. Tang Rui walked over and was immediately greeted with a warm hug. "Dear, you are finally back. I missed you so much." "I missed you too, Julia." Tang Rui hugged the brown-haired woman back. This person and the handsome black man next to her were Tang Rui's colleagues in Bao. They had handled many cases together and were a tacit partner. Letting go of Julia, Tang Rui hugged the handsome black man Thomas again. "Welcome back, Tang Tang." Tang Rui smiled and did not correct the two people's coming back rhetoric. The United States is not her home, and she will not stay here for long. "Tang Tang, live with me." Julia invited Tang Rui. Tang Rui glanced at Thomas, who was helping her carry her suitcase, and smiled and said, "No, I won't disturb your world of two. I'll stay in a hotel." Julia and Thomas are a couple, but they don't have much confidence in marriage, so they have been living together but have never thought about getting married. "What? You can spend time together anytime you want," Julia said. "We haven't seen each other for so long. I was thinking about having a lingerie party with you and chatting with you in the evening." In the end, Tang Rui couldn't resist Julia's enthusiasm and moved into Julia and Thomas' house. In the evening, Julia and Thomas held a welcome party for Tang Rui, and all her former colleagues came to Julia's house. Tang Rui hugged her colleagues one by one, and everyone talked about Tang Rui's future work. The director of Bao invited Tang Rui, but Tang Rui refused. "My roots are in the flower-growing country, and my parents are also in the flower-growing country. I have to go back." Tang Rui said, "My parents are old, and I have to take care of them nearby." Colleagues understood Tang Rui's thoughts and expressed regret. "Will there be opportunities to work together in the future?" Julia asked. "Yes." Tang Rui smiled. "I have returned to the criminal psychology circle, and there will definitely be opportunities for cooperation in the future." The next day, Tang Rui went to see her psychologist. The psychologist gave Tang Rui a detailed diagnosis and issued a certificate of recovery. Tang Rui posted the certificate in her circle of friends and invited her friends and colleagues in the United States to go to the hotel for a big dinner to celebrate. The criminal psychology circle is not big or small. Soon, the news that Tang Rui, a top criminal profiler, had recovered from her mental problems spread in the circle and attracted the attention of relevant people in China. Tang Rui has not returned to China yet, but a job invitation has been sent to her. In China, Fu Hongxi and the sisters on the same floor found the certificate of recovery a little incredible. Tang Rui looked quite cheerful. How could she have mental problems? Fu Hongxi did not back down because of Tang Rui's mental problems. He contacted Tang Rui more in his heart and decided to be twice as good to her in the future. He could not see Tang Rui these days, and he knew his heart more clearly and knew that he was deeply in love with Tang Rui. He missed Tang Rui. After staying in the United States for more than a month, Tang Rui finally returned to China. Back to her house, Tang Rui felt extremely relaxed. A golden nest or a silver nest is always not as good as her own doghouse. After a good night's sleep on the bed and adjusting to the jet lag, it was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I got up. Tang Rui sent a WeChat message to the sisters on the same floor. "Tang Rui, sisters, I'm back, come back for dinner in the evening." Fu Keixun, Tang Tang, you are finally back. If you don't come back, my uncle will go to the United States to find you. Tang Rui, your uncle and I have broken up. Fu Keixun, my uncle said that she did not agree to break up. And Tang Tang, you misunderstood, my uncle is not eating from the bowl and looking at the pot. He has nothing to do with his white moonlight, and the child is not my uncle's. Kong Shuangqiu, Tang Tang, just give Uncle Fu a chance to explain. We have all seen it these days. Uncle Fu really likes you. Chiu Wei Wei, Tang Tang, it's best to talk it out if there is a misunderstanding. Xiao Yang Su, Tang Tang, such a rich son-in-law can't be let go easily and let other women get away with it. Fu Keixun, Tang Tang, I'll ask my uncle to come to dinner tonight, okay? Tang Rui saw that her sisters were all speaking for Fu Hongxi. Did she really misunderstand him? Then give Fu Hongxi a chance and listen to what he has to say. To be honest, Tang Rui also has feelings for Fu Hongxi. If she hadn't misunderstood that Fu Hongxi had a child with another woman, she wouldn't have broken up with Fu Hongxi so easily if she didn't want a child to be fatherless. There are very few men like Fu Hongxi who are so good and treat her well. Tang Rui, okay. Let him come. As a result, before dinner, Tang Rui put down her phone for less than half an hour, and Fu Hongxi appeared at Tang Rui's home. This speed, Tang Rui, you didn't run a red light, did you? Fu Hongxi shook his head. I didn't run a red light, I just exceeded the speed limit and got a ticket. Tang Rui. Fu Hongxi stepped forward and hugged Tang Rui. Tang Tang, I love you, only you. Don't break up with me, don't leave me. Imprisoned in a large and warm embrace, Tang Rui felt very safe. Hearing the almost coquettish confession beside her ear, her heart beat uncontrollably and rapidly. Let me go. No. Fu Hongxi said willfully, hugging Tang Rui tighter. I'm afraid if I let go, you'll run away. Tang Rui said, this is my home, where can I run away? But she didn't ask Fu Hongxi to let her go again, but stretched out her hands and hugged Fu Hongxi's waist. Fu Hongxi was happy. Tang Rui forgave herself with this action, right? The two hugged for a long time, and Fu Hongxi let go of Tang Rui at Tang Rui's request again. Tang Rui left Fu Hongxi's embrace, sat opposite Fu Hongxi, and said, tell me, what's going on between you and your Bai Yu Guang? Chapter 744 Profiler 11. Fu Hongxi told Tang Rui about his treatment of Bai Yu Guang, and Tang Rui expressed satisfaction. There was no Bai Yu Guang to disgust people. Very good. Seeing Tang Rui smile, Fu Hongxi stood up, sat next to Tang Rui from the opposite side, and put his arm around Tang Rui's waist. Tang Tang, what's the matter with your certificate of recovery? Fu Hongxi asked with concern. Tang Rui raised her eyebrows. I have psychological problems. What, are you scared? Do you want to break up with me? The hand around Tang Rui's waist increased its strength. No, I won't break up with you. I'm just worried about you. Tang Rui smiled and patted Fu Hongxi's cheek. Don't worry, I just have some psychological trauma from my previous job, and now it has disappeared. The psychologist has judged that I am cured. Fu Hongxi was surprised. Tang Rui was just working in finance in a large company. How could she have psychological trauma? Could it be an office struggle? But what kind of fierce struggle caused Tang Rui to have psychological trauma? Was she deceived? Betrayed? Fu Hongxi imagined a big drama in his mind. Tang Rui's words interrupted his imagination. It's not what you think. As your girlfriend, I still have to explain some things to you. I used to work in the Bao department of the FBI. Fu Hongxi didn't know what the Bao was, but the FBI alone was scary enough. FBI. Fu Hongxi's eyes widened. Tang Rui nodded. I went to college at the University at Albany, State University of New York, majoring in criminal psychology and minoring in computer science and economics. After graduating with a master's degree, I was introduced by my mentor to work at the Bao. The full name of Bao is Behavioral Analysis Unit, which is the Behavioral Analysis Department of the FBI. I worked there for 2 years. Because of my high success rate in case profiling, I became a little proud, which eventually led to my analysis errors during a case profiling. Not only did I kill my colleague, but I was also seriously injured. After my injury healed, I had psychological problems and could not work as a profiler. So I left the Bao, returned to China, and found a job that was not related to profilers. Fu Hongxi now understood Tang Rui's reactions at the crime scene several times before. It turned out that she was not in a daze, but was profiling the case. And every time she profiled a real murderer, it seemed that his girlfriend was very capable. Now that you have recovered mentally, are you going back to work at the Bao? Fu Hongxi couldn't help but worry. He was worried that Tang Rui would go to the United States to work and be separated from him. Tang Rui patted his face again and comforted him. No, I have accepted the appointment letter from Haichang Police Station and will become a profiler of Haichang Police Station. Great. Fu Hongxi was very happy and proud of having such a great girlfriend. He put his head on Tang Rui's shoulder and said coquettishly, Tang Tang, before you start working, come home with me to meet my parents and settle our affairs. Huh? Tang Rui was shocked and embarrassed. An ugly daughter-in-law has to meet her parents-in-law? But she is not mentally prepared yet. Fu Hongxi did not wait for her to object, and said, what do uncle and aunt like? Tomorrow you will accompany me to the mall to buy gifts for them? On Saturday, you will go home with me to meet my parents, and on Sunday I will go home with you to meet uncle and aunt. Next week, let the parents of both sides meet. This is too fast, isn't it? Tang Rui was happy in her heart, but she also felt it was too fast. If she knew that the parents of both sides would meet earlier, it would be the rhythm of discussing marriage. Fu Hongxi pecked Tang Rui's face. I can't wait for you to be my wife. You ran away from the country without saying anything this time, which scared me to death. I want to add your name to my household registration book now, so that I won't be able to find you again when you leave in the future. Tang Rui was dizzy with Fu Hongxi's love words, and she agreed to Fu Hongxi's proposal in a daze. So when the sisters came back for dinner, the reason was no longer Tang Rui's welcoming banquet, but to celebrate Tang Rui and Fu Hongxi's upcoming marriage. Fu Keixun immediately shared the good news with the family group, and everyone in the Fu family was happy and prepared for the meeting on Saturday. The meeting with both parents went smoothly, and the Fu family was very satisfied with Tang Rui as a daughter-in-law. They all knew about Tang Rui's previous brilliant achievements from Fu Keixun. At the welcoming banquet that night, Tang Rui confessed her previous career to all the sisters. Although the Fu family didn't care about the family background of their daughter-in-law, the daughter-in-law herself was extremely outstanding. Showing her off would also make them very proud, and make those who ridicule their daughter-in-law's mismatched face slapped. The day after the parents of both parties met, Fu Hongxi began to prepare for the proposal. However, the wedding needed preparation and would not be held for another 3 months. After meeting the parents of both parties, Tang Rui reported to the Heichang police station. She was a specially hired profiler of the police station and was highly valued by the Heichang police station. The director personally took Tang Rui to meet her future colleagues. Tang Rui met Captain Yang and his team members. The team members showed expressions of astonishment. They didn't expect that this unlucky girl who they thought was possessed by Conan was actually a profiler. Could it be that her appearance at the murder scene was not accidental, but attracted? Only Captain Yang acted very calmly, as if he had known that Tang Rui was a new profiler. This made Tang Rui raise her eyebrows. Tang Rui had a hunch that Captain Yang had learned from the director that she was a new profiler. There was something strange about it. But the case was solved during dinner. To celebrate Tang Rui's first day at work, the sisters on the same floor had a dinner together and could bring their significant others. Then, Tang Rui saw Captain Yang, who was brought by Xiao Yangsu. It turned out that Xiao Yangsu's boyfriend, who had been known to everyone but not announced by Xiao Yangsu, was Captain Yang. Captain Yang's full name is Yang Zimo. Speaking of which, Tang Rui should be considered the matchmaker between Xiao Yangsu and Yang Zimo. In the subway station incident, Captain Yang suspected that Tang Rui had been a suspect, so he apologized to Tang Rui after finding the murderer. At that time, Tang Rui was upset and had no mood to deal with other people, so Xiao Zuain stepped forward to greet Captain Yang for Tang Rui. At that time, Xiao Zuain had a good impression of Captain Yang. Later, when Xiao Yangsu went on a blind date, she met a top blind date object. With the help of Yang Zimo, she got rid of that person, and the two met. Xiao Zuain had a crush on Yang Zimo and wanted to get close to him. Yang Zimo was curious about Tang Rui's Conan physique and wanted to learn about Tang Rui from Xiao Yangsu, Tang Rui's friend, so he readily exchanged contact information with Xiao Yangsu. After that, Xiao Yangsu found an excuse to invite Yang Zimo to dinner, and Yang Zimo did not refuse. In this way, the two of them got together. Chapter 745 Profiler 12. Tang Rui knew how Yang Zimo and Xiao Yangsu met and fell in love, and stretched out her right hand with her palm, facing up to ask for a red envelope from the two of them. Xiao Yangsu rummaged for a long time and found a dime and put it in Tang Rui's palm, saying regretfully, "It's a pity that there are no 1-cent coins now." Tang Rui snorted proudly and put the coin in her pocket. The boyfriend that Chu Weiwei brought was Qi Zuzhan. The two of them encountered an accident when they went abroad, and Qi Zuzhan almost died while protecting Chu Weiwei. Qi Zuzhan thought he would not survive this time, so he opened his heart and confessed to Chu Weiwei. Qi Zuzhan liked Chu Weiwei since high school, but Chu Weiwei only regarded him as a friend, so his bad friends gave him a bad idea, asking him to find other women to hang around Chu Weiwei to see Chu Weiwei's reaction. As a result, Chu Weiwei did not react, but Qi Zuzhan was angry. Qi Zuzhan simply gave up and frequently changed girlfriends, showing off in front of Chu Weiwei with his girlfriends to see Chu Weiwei's reaction. Over the past 10 years, this has almost become a habit. Any woman would be moved by someone who has liked her for more than 10 years and is willing to protect her with his life. Chu Weiwei naturally accepted Qi Zuzhan's confession, and the two of them were out of danger, so they naturally walked together. Qi Zuzhan was promoted from a playboy to a loyal dog. Fu Keixun's boyfriend is her childhood sweetheart. The two grew up together and are so familiar with each other. Therefore, even though they have had feelings for each other for a long time, they did not think about the relationship between men and women. Fu Keixun's boyfriend met a pure girl who had just graduated from school. He felt that he fell in love at first sight with a girl and wanted to pursue the girl. Fu Keixun, the childhood sweetheart, also helped as a military advisor and gave advice to the sweetheart. During this pursuit, Zuma and Fu Keixun discovered that their feelings for each other had long deteriorated and turned into a man's love for a woman's love for a man. Then, when the innocent girl was moved by Zuma's pursuit and wanted to abandon her college boyfriend to accept the rich and handsome Zuma, Zuma abandoned the innocent girl and turned around to pursue his childhood sweetheart. The childhood sweetheart was very straightforward and understood her feelings for Zuma. She was very happy to drag Zuma to her side and let Zuma sign a lot of unequal treaties, and then she was with Zuma. Kang Shuaqiu's boyfriend is a small boss who started his own business. The company is just starting, but he is very talented and the company has a good future. Kang Shuaqiu has decided to quit her current job, join her boyfriend's company, and start a business with her boyfriend. Tang Rui found that the sisters had very good vision in finding boyfriends. These men are all outstanding people. Not only are they excellent, but they are also very good to their girlfriends and cherish their girlfriends. Tang Rui felt that these men had become the sisters' true love. Yes, the person next to you will also be your husband. A voice that had not been heard for a long time suddenly appeared in her mind, which surprised Tang Rui. Sister Fairy, you are out of retreat. Tang Rui said in surprise in her mind. Yes. Su Qingni responded. This time, her soul power has recovered a lot, which can support her to control Tang Rui's body for a while. However, if Su Qingni wants to use someone else's body, she must greet the owner and get the owner's consent. Su Qingni said that she wanted to use Tang Rui's body, and then hurriedly said, "Don't worry, I won't use your body to do bad things, nor will I interfere with your normal work and life. It's just that after you fall asleep every night, I will use your body to operate the computer and check some information. Sister Fairy, I can also help you with any information you want to check." Tang Rui said hurriedly. She readily agreed to let Su Qingni borrow her body. She believed that Su Qingni would not harm her. With Su Qingni's ability, if she wanted to use her body to do bad things, she would not inform her at all. That's good. Now that you work in the police station, you will be exposed to more information. Su Qingni told Tang Rui the characteristics of the extreme Yin land so that Tang Rui could pay attention to places that meet the conditions when she looked through the files in the police station. Tang Rui nodded in agreement. Why are you smiling so happily all of a sudden? Fu Hongxi's handsome face came close to Tang Rui's face and asked Tang Rui with a smile. Tang Rui smiled brightly. I received a message from a friend I haven't seen for a long time. I know she is safe, so I am happy. Fu Hongxi narrowed his eyes and asked, is it a man or a woman? Tang Rui reached out and pinched Fu Hongxi's face. Of course it's a woman, you jealous jar. The work in the police station went smoothly. Tang Rui's profiling ability was very strong. She was always able to profile the case quickly and accurately, making it convenient for Yang Zimo and others to catch the murderer as quickly as possible. Tang Rui stood firm in the police station with her own strength and won the respect of everyone in the police station. While handling her own work, Tang Rui looked through a lot of information and found some places that met the extreme Yin land and told Su Qingni. Su Qingni combined the information she collected on the internet and judged that 3 places might be the location of the extreme Yin land. Tang Rui went to the 3 places under the pretext of going out for fun during holidays, and took her boyfriend, sisters and their significant others to let Su Qingni personally check. Sure enough, one of them was the extreme Yin land. Lend me your body temporarily. Su Qingni said to Tang Rui. Tang Rui knew that she had found the right place, and agreed in a good mood. She also said to Su Qingni, you have to hurry up, Fu Hongxi will take me to ride a horse later. Su Qingni quickly took out another stone, buried it in the center of the extreme Yin land, and then quickly returned the body to Tang Rui. The rules of this world are too unfriendly. Just by taking out the nether stone, she was under the heavy pressure of the rules of the world. The power of the soul accumulated for several years was consumed at once. Fortunately, her mission in this world was also completed. Fu Hongxi had already come over. Seeing his girlfriend filling the hole, he asked curiously, what are you burying? Nothing. Tang Rui said calmly, I just suddenly wanted to play with mud. Fu Hongxi laughed, how old are you? You're still playing with mud like a child. Tang Rui snorted, what do you mean by how old you are? How old am I? I'm an invincible young beauty. Yes, You are an invincible young beauty. Fu Hongxi smiled and took out his handkerchief, carefully wiping Tang Rui's hands. The big hand held the small hand, wiping one finger at a time. The movement was so gentle and affectionate. Fu Hongxi lowered his head, Tang Rui raised her head, and the two heads got closer and closer. Su Qingni closed her eyes. Do not look at or listen to anything indecent. Chapter 746 Profiler 13. Another case has happened. As a profiler, she must go to the crime scene immediately. Tang Rui changed into police uniform and got into Yang Zimo's car. The direction the car was driving was familiar to Tang Rui. Well, wasn't it the direction of the area where she used to work? Where is the crime scene? Tang Rui asked Yang Zimo. Yang Zimo reported an address, and it was indeed next to the building where she used to work. That building seemed to be the building where Fu Hongxi's company was located? Exclamation mark. When they arrived at the destination, it was indeed the building where Fu Hongxi's company was located. The owner of this 30-story commercial building called Yangxi Building is Fu Hongxi. The 20th to 30th floors of the building are used by Fu Hongxi's company, and the offices below the 20th floor are rented out to other companies. I just don't know whether the case happened in Fu Hongxi's company or other companies. But no matter which company it happened in Yangxi Building, and Fu Hongxi had to show up anyway. Tang Rui didn't expect to see Fu Hongxi at the crime scene again, and she couldn't help laughing. Their fate began at the crime scene. Could it be that in addition to their usual interactions, they will often meet at the crime scene in the future? Fu Hongxi was cooperating with a policeman who arrived earlier with his assistant. When he saw Tang Rui, who was wearing a police uniform and had a capable temperament, Fu Hongxi's eyes lit up. Fu Hongxi had never seen Tang Rui like this before. It has always been said that men who work hard are the most attractive, and the same is true for women who work hard. What's more, Tang Rui was wearing a well-fitting police uniform. The temptation of the uniform. Tang Rui blinked at Fu Hongxi, did not speak to him, and walked directly into the crime scene. The crime scene was in the office of a company on the 15th floor. The victim was the head of the business department of the company, a fashionable woman in her early 30s. Tang Rui entered the scene and took a closer look, and she had an idea in her mind. But the smell here was really bad, making her feel nauseous. Tang Rui walked out of the office, exhaled the foul air, and took a deep breath, and then she felt better. Fu Hongxi saw that Tang Rui's face was too pale and wanted to come over to care about Tang Rui, but was stopped by a police uncle, who did not want him to interfere with Tang Rui's work. Yang Zimo also noticed that Tang Rui's face looked a little strange. Seeing Fu Hongxi scratching his head and looking concerned, he compromised and let Fu Hongxi come to Tang Rui's side. How are you? Why are you so pale? Fu Hongxi stepped forward and put his arm around Tang Rui's shoulders. Tang Rui had a guess in her mind and smiled at Fu Hongxi. I'm fine, I was just a little bit frightened by the smell inside. Can you pour me a cup of hot water? I want to drink hot water. Fu Hongxi didn't want to leave Tang Rui's side, so he asked his assistant to pour hot water for Tang Rui, and he followed Tang Rui. If Tang Rui felt a little uncomfortable, he would immediately go up and hug Tang Rui. How is it? Yang Zimo walked to Tang Rui and asked. Tang Rui nodded. There is some progress. Yang Zimo looked at Fu Hongxi. Mr. Fu, can you arrange an empty meeting room for me? Fu Hongxi nodded and took Yang Zimo, Tang Rui and others into the meeting room of his company. Fu Hongxi knew that Tang Rui was going to analyze and profile the case, so he asked Yang Zimo, Captain Yang, can I stay and listen to Xiao Rui's profile? Fu Hongxi was the owner of the crime scene and had ruled out the suspicion of being the murderer. It was understandable that he wanted to know the truth about what happened in his property. Yang Zimo thought about it and agreed. This was the first time Fu Hongxi met Tang Rui for a profile. The clear profile analysis gave Fu Hongxi experience. When the police arrested the murderer according to Tang Rui's profile, Fu Hongxi had only 2 words in his mind: cool. So handsome. His girlfriend is so handsome. Fu Hongxi was full of pride. He really wanted to bring such an excellent woman into his nest. The case was over, and Tang Rui was about to leave Yangxi Building. Before leaving, Tang Rui came to Fu Hongxi's side and asked, Are you busy today? Are you free later? He was still busy, especially since a case happened in his property, and Fu Hongxi had a lot to deal with. But his girlfriend seemed to have something to call him. Even if he was busy, he had to say he was not busy. He could push the work to his assistant. He paid his assistant a high salary, so he naturally wanted to make the best use of him. Not busy, I have time. Fu Hongxi replied. Then come to the police station to pick me up later. Tang Rui said. You are not going to work. Well, I have done everything I should do. My assistant will help me write today's report. I will ask for leave when I return to the police station. Is it still a physical problem? Wait for me, I will take you to the hospital for a checkup later. Okay. Tang Rui replied with a smile. Going to the hospital will give you a big surprise. It is indeed a big surprise. Fu Hongxi held Tang Rui's medical report with a silly smile, like a fool. Tang Rui couldn't bear it anymore, so she pinched Fu Hongxi's waist hard. Fu Hongxi screamed and jumped up in pain. He turned around and saw Tang Rui, who had done the dirty work. He resumed his silly smile and picked up Tang Rui and spun around. I'm going to be a father. I'm going to be a father. Put me down. Tang Rui was dizzy from being turned around, and patted Fu Hongxi's back. Fu Hongxi put Tang Rui down with a silly smile, but stretched out his hand to hold one of Tang Rui's hands tightly, and the other hand held Tang Rui's waist, and walked out with Tang Rui in his arms. While the Civil Affairs Bureau is still open, let's go and get the certificate. What? Get the certificate now? Tang Rui was slightly stunned and agreed. The buns were already steamed. If you don't get the certificate, do you want the buns to be an illegitimate child? That night, the sisters brought their families to dinner again to celebrate Tang Rui and Fu Hongxi. Fu Hongxi took out a freshly baked marriage certificate and received envious looks from all the men. Fu Hongxi was proud. Who told you that you are not as good as me? Now I have a wife and a child. You who don't have a wife, just be envious. After the party, the men immediately took their girlfriends back to their own residences. A group of girls were planning to hold a lingerie party in the evening and get together to chat, but their plans were ruined by their respective boyfriends. The next day, Fu Hongxi took Tang Rui to the mall to choose a wedding ring, and several men also came with their girlfriends, also to choose wedding rings. Last night, several men used various means and all proposed successfully. A month later, on a sunny day, Tang Rui became a beautiful bride and started a new life. In the following months, one sister became a bride every other month. The 5 sisters on the same floor all found their own happiness. The previous correction was made, and there was no marriage certificate, but a proposal. Chapter 747, Peace and Prosperity. When the 10 years were up, Su Qingni immediately left Tang Rui's body and returned to the netherworld. She was suffocating in this world. Trapped in a mortal's body, she couldn't do anything. It was boring. Apart from burying the netherworld stone in the extremely yin land, she couldn't even find the fragments of the ancestor witch's true spirit. There was no other way, so she had to leave it to Lady Pingxin to find it herself. Now that the netherworld has been connected to this world, the rules of the world will be improved accordingly. As the master of the netherworld, Lady Pingxin can walk freely in this world without being bound by the rules of the world. She had consumed too much of her soul power, so she had to go back to practice. This time, Su Qingni practiced for hundreds of years before she was fully recovered and could start her journey through time again. I crossed the dividing line of the world. The body that Su Qingni entered was starved to death. After she possessed it, she still felt the extreme pain of hunger. Without receiving the memory of the original body, the most important thing Su Qingni had to do now was to find food. She turned her head with difficulty and looked around. A large group of refugees were lying on the ground, looking like they were fleeing. Su Qingni's heart skipped a beat. If she was really a refugee, it would be normal for the little girl to starve to death. What she was most worried about was that the disaster she was fleeing from was a drought. Under such a natural disaster, food was very difficult to obtain, and she was afraid that some people would eat each other. This world was a world where extraordinary powers could not be used. Su Qingni could not use the power of the Yuanshan. Now she was just a little girl with no martial arts value, and her hands and feet were weak from hunger. If she fell into the hands of those evil people, she would be dead. However, she could not just sit and wait for death. If she did not eat, Su Qingni would not stay in this body until the sun rose tomorrow. If she died, her body would definitely not be saved. Su Qingni slowly got up, slowly left the disaster group, and headed towards the woods on the side of the road. It was strange that the woods and weeds on the side of the road were growing vigorously, and it did not look like a disaster. When Su Qingni entered the woods, she first saw a kind of edible weed. Regardless of how astringent it was, She immediately rushed forward and stuffed the weeds into her mouth in big mouthfuls. Finally, there was something in the stomach, and the danger of death was lifted. Su Qingni breathed a sigh of relief, and then she had the strength to receive the memory of the original body. From the memory of the original body, she learned that they did not suffer from drought, but fled to the coastal port city to escape the war. This group of refugees now looks embarrassed, but they are actually rich people, and the packages are all gold bars. And it is precisely because the packages are full of gold bars and there is not much food that they will starve on the road. You can't expect these original masters and wives to recognize which wild grasses are edible. In fact, these masters and wives have thought about it. When they arrive in a populated place, they can use silver money to buy food, but who knows that just a few days ago, they encountered a group of defeated deserters. In order to avoid this group of deserters, everyone deviated from the original route and got lost. They didn't see people for several days, and the food in the package was almost eaten up. The original body was a concubine's daughter, and the stepmother was a very powerful woman. The silver, money and food in the family were all managed by the stepmother. 3 days ago, the stepmother gave the original body very little food every day, on the grounds that the original body could not eat much food at her age, and gave the withheld food to her son. The food that the original body was allocated was taken away by the half-brother, who has also withheld food. The original body's biological mother died a year ago. The original body was timid and did not dare to take back the food after it was taken away. Knowing that she would not get pity from her stepmother even if she complained to the stepmother, she could only bear it silently and eventually starved to death. After receiving the memory, Su Qingni sighed and gave the original body's soul some merits, hoping that the original body would be reborn in a good life in the next life, with parents and relatives who loved her, and would not have to starve again. With a full stomach and strength, Su Qingni took a walk in the woods. After knowing the reason for fleeing, Su Qingni was no longer afraid that someone would eat her. Just based on these masters and ladies, if they said they wanted to eat people, they would only be scared and dare not take action at all. Fortunately, Su Qingni gained something in the forest. She dug out several bird nests and got more than 10 bird eggs. Hiding these bird eggs on her body, Su Qingni returned to where the Su family was lying, closed her eyes, and practiced the health-preserving exercises. The next morning, Su Qingni got up and continued to walk with the refugees. There was no breakfast. At lunch, the stepmother gave Su Qingni a dry biscuit the size of a ping-pong ball. However, as soon as the biscuit reached her hand, it was snatched away by her half-brother, who was 1 year older than her. The half-brother snatched the biscuit and stuffed it directly into his mouth. The stepmother saw this scene, but sneered, and didn't care about the half-brother's behavior. She just went back to the 2 children of Su's father and stepmother, took out the soft pastries and shared them with them. Su's father seemed not to see what the half-brother did. He just took the pastries and ate them with his 2 legitimate sons and daughters. It seems that he didn't care about the original body, the illegitimate daughter, and he didn't care even if the original body starved to death. But she still cared about her half-brother, after all, he was her son. Su Qingni lowered her eyelids, and sat aside, pretending to be as timid as her original self, not daring to resist being bullied. In fact, she turned her back to the crowd and swallowed the bird eggs. The same method was used for dinner, and a dozen bird eggs supported Su Qingni for a day. At midnight, Su Qingni left the main force to find food, and relying on these foods, Su Qingni supported another day. On the 3rd day, they finally saw people. A group of people spent money to buy a lot of food. They were really hungry. Su Qingni finally had a full meal. This time, the half-brother did not come to snatch Su Qingni's food. Su's father still wanted to save face. In the case of no shortage of food, he would not starve his son and daughter to death. Hearing from the locals that this place was not far from the port city, the group of people were very excited, and the speed of the next day was much faster. On the 3rd day, they arrived at the coast, paid together to rent a big boat, and took it to the port city. Why don't these people take the train directly from their hometown to Gangcheng? There is no way they can get on the train. Most of the trains have been requisitioned by deserters, so even if they have money, they can't get on the train. Escaping is more important than money. Finally arriving at Gangcheng, everyone relaxed and happily discussed their future lives. The reason these people came to Gangcheng is because they have relatives and friends in Gangcheng to rely on. The Su family is naturally the same. Su's father's cousin does business in Gangcheng, and Su's father brought his family to rely on his cousin. Su Qingni followed Su's father to his cousin's house, and watched Su's father settle down in Gangcheng with the help of his cousin. Chapter 748, Peace and Prosperity Part 2. The Su family was a wealthy family in their hometown. They had a lot of property and hundreds of hectares of fertile land. When the Su family fled, except for the ancestral house, Su's father sold all the Su family's property and fertile land in exchange for a lot of yellow croakers. These yellow croakers are pure and have great purchasing power in Gangcheng. With the help of his cousin, Su's father bought a house with a good location and a tea house, which also brought income to the family. The family settled down in Gangcheng. However, the Su family no longer had a large group of slaves to serve as they did in their hometown. The mother-in-law only hired 2 servants, one for cooking and the other for chores. But the Su family, including the half-brother and the half-brother's mother, the third concubine, had a total of 7 masters. There were too many things in the family, and the 2 servants were too busy. Su Qingni, the poor little thing, was ordered by her mother-in-law to do things. A lot of housework fell on Su Qingni's head, which made Su Qingni annoyed. If so many things were done, it would be evening. The stepmother really didn't like this poor little thing of her. She was not like her original body, who was submissive, and her original body had been killed by her stepmother and half-brother, and she had already repaid the Su family's kindness in raising her for the past few years with her life. This body can be said to have no relationship with the Su family, so why should she stay in the Su family? Su Qingni left the Su family without taking anything with her. Little girl, why are you staying on the street alone? Where are your parents? A middle-aged man who looked wretched saw Su Qingni alone. His eyes lit up, and he walked over. Su Qingni glanced at the man and knew what he was up to. Along the way, she had already dealt with several such people. Although this world cannot cultivate extraordinary power, it is still possible to cultivate health-preserving skills and some external boxing and kicking skills. After Su Qingni's training during this period of time, her martial arts value has exceeded 5, and it is not a problem to beat 2 men. Su Qingni turned and left. How could the man allow such a fat duck to fly away? He immediately grabbed Su Qingni. Su Qingni dodged the man's dirty hands with a sway, grabbed the man's wrist with her right hand, and broke the man's arm with a strong twist. The man screamed in pain, his face was full of ferocity, and he smashed Su Qingni's head with his other hand. Su Qingni raised her short legs and kicked the man hard, sending him flying 3 meters away. Pa pa pa. There was a sound of applause not far away. Su Qingni looked over and saw a woman dressed in an unusually coquettish and beautiful manner, standing not far away clapping her hands. She must have seen everything that happened when Su Qingni beat the man. Su Qingni looked at the woman quietly, to see what the woman's intentions were. Along the way, in addition to meeting men with good intentions, she also met many women with bad intentions. They were all women from brothels, and seeing that Su Qingni was good-looking, they wanted to lure her to their own place, raise her for a few years, and train her to be a top star to make money for them. The woman's dress and appearance showed that she was also a woman of that kind of occasion, but I don't know what this woman was thinking. Su Qingni did not see greed in the woman's eyes, nor did she see the evaluating look of other women who looked at the goods. The woman walked slowly towards Su Qingni, swaying and charming. She walked to Su Qingni's side, lowered her body, and her eyes were level with Su Qingni's. Little girl, you are very much to my taste. How about being my daughter? The woman said with a smile. Su Qingni stared into the woman's eyes and said, I don't want to be anyone's daughter. The woman was not annoyed by being rejected, and continued to smile and said, but what if I really want to support you? Su Qingni said, I can recognize you as my sister. Sister. The woman raised her eyebrows. Su Qingni said, you are so beautiful and young, you are suitable to be your sister. The woman laughed even more happily, you are so sweet, okay, then I will be your sister. My name is Zhang Manling, what can you do? What's your name? My name is Su Qingni. Su Qingni, this name is good. You look like you have read books and learned to read. Su Qingni nodded, of course, her original body had not read books and learned to read. In my hometown, when my father hired a teacher to teach my 2 brothers, I eavesdropped outside the window and learned. After learning some words, I read books by myself. Later, I learned some foreign languages with my 2 brothers. Even foreign languages. Zhang Manling was surprised. Then your family background is not simple? How could you end up on the streets alone? Where are your family members? Su Qingni said, they were separated when we fled to Hong Kong City. I see. Zhang Manling couldn't help but feel pity for Su Qingni. The rich lady who was originally high and mighty has fallen to being a street wanderer. The gap is really too big. But this girl is also very capable, both literary and martial. Even without me, she can still live well, right? Let's go, little girl, go home with your sister. Zhang Manling straightened up, stretched out her hand to hold Su Qingni's little hand, and took her back to her home. Zhang Manling's residence is in Lianchangshe. Lianchangshe is a famous slum in Hong Kong City, known as a no man's land. To outsiders, it is very chaotic and scary inside, and it is indeed very chaotic and scary. But the people living in it have their own set of rules. The house where Zhang Manling lives is not bad, and some big figures in Lianchangshe live around it, so the environment is rare and stable and safe. Zhang Manling did not hide her identity. From her mouth, Su Qingni learned that Zhang Manling was the leader of a dancer in a dance hall, and was good at using beauty and means to approach men. She is very smart and does not rely on a certain man. After all, in such a world and such an environment, who knows whether those men who are still high and mighty today will die on the street tomorrow. Zhang Manling has many lovers, each of whom has some power. With them as her backers, Zhang Manling is a person who cannot be provoked in Lianchangshe. Moreover, after living with Zhang Manling for a while, Su Qingni discovered that Zhang Manling had a secret lover, and that lover's status should be very high. Zhang Manling's other lovers combined are not as powerful as that secret lover. However, Zhang Manling was secretly communicating with that person, and except for Su Qingni, no one found out that Zhang Manling had such a secret lover. There was an extra girl around Zhang Manling, which attracted the attention of many people in Lianchangshe. Many people came to see Su Qingni. They looked at Zhang Manling with their own ideas, thinking that Zhang Manling raised such a little girl to make money for the older Zhang Manling when she grew up. They looked down on Su Qingni and had no respect for her at all. Su Qingni sneered and crippled a gangster who wanted to touch her. After that, no one dared to look down on her again. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 749, Peace and Prosperity Part 3. Su Qingni's method of crippling people made the people in Lianchang village see her ruthlessness and strength, and no one dared to look down on Su Qingni. Originally, they thought Su Qingni was Zhang Manling's weakness, and wanted to control Su Qingni to threaten Zhang Manling. Now no one dares. The rule of Lianchang village is that the strong are respected, and Su Qingni has gained a foothold in Lianchang village with her strength. There are many children in Lianchang village. Some of these children are orphans, and some of them have families, but because of various problems at home, they live worse than orphans. These children have understood the survival rule of Lianchang village, that the fist is the truth since they were young, and they are like wolf cubs. When Su Qingni first came to Lianchang village, these children couldn't stand her. Zhang Manling really raised Su Qingni as her own daughter, pampered the little girl, dressed the little girl in beautiful little dresses, combed her hair like a princess, and dressed Su Qingni beautifully every day, which was completely different from the dirty children in the village. The children in the village envied Su Qingni and were even more jealous of her. Naturally, they couldn't stand her and wanted to bully her. Su Qingni spoke with her fists and knocked down all the children who came to provoke her. The children in the village saw how powerful Su Qingni was and recognized her as their leader. So Su Qingni became the king of the children in Lianchang village, with more than 20 younger brothers under her. Zhang Manling laughed so hard that her stomach hurt. She rubbed Su Qingni's head and said, "If you manage it well, maybe you can really become a force in the future." Su Qingni brought out the stewed medicinal food and put it in front of Zhang Manling, saying, "I haven't thought about becoming a force, but I feel sorry for these children and want to help them and make some money with them. These children are either orphans or have no money at home. They live a hard life. They used to live by stealing and cheating. If they were caught, they would be beaten up. If the other party hits hard, the child will be injured internally and there is no money to treat it. It's possible that he will even lose his life." Since Su Qingni was called the eldest by these children, she would be responsible for these children and would not let them be beaten to death. She would lead the children to make money, and make money safely. However, Su Qingni had no idea how to make money. After all, she had no money now, and she didn't want to ask Zhang Manling for money. Zhang Manling made a lot of money, but spent even more money, and she didn't have much savings on hand. Zhang Manling took a deep breath, smelled the faint medicinal fragrance in the aroma of the food, and praised, "Qingni, your cooking skills are really good. This medicinal food tastes so delicious, I can't even taste any medicinal taste." Su Qingni made a proud little expression. "Of course, this is a unique skill passed down from my ancestors. If you eat a bowl of medicinal food every day, you will be healthy and live a long life." Although Zhang Manling is only 26 years old, she entered the dance hall at the age of 14. After 10 years, smoking, drinking, and those things with men, as well as irregular living habits, Zhang Manling's health is very bad, and she has various minor problems in her body. Her skin was also very bad, rough and dull, and she relied on foundation to cover the color of her face. So Zhang Manling wore heavy makeup all day long and never removed it in front of outsiders. Su Qingni was the only exception. Su Qingni pretended that she came from a family of traditional Chinese medicine and could help Zhang Manling regulate her body. At first, Zhang Manling didn't believe that a little girl like Su Qingni had any medical skills, and just thought she was playing house with a little girl, so she agreed to Su Qingni. Su Qingni knew that Zhang Manling didn't like taking medicine, so she specially prepared medicinal food for her physical condition. Su Qingni's cooking skills are good, and the medicinal food is delicious. You can't taste any medicinal taste, but the efficacy of the medicine will not be reduced at all. Zhang Manling likes to eat this medicinal food very much. After a while, she found that her body really started to get better. The body that used to feel heavy and tired began to feel relaxed, and she could fall asleep easily when she went to bed, and she would no longer suffer from insomnia all night. Zhang Manling felt that she had really picked up a treasure, and hugged Su Qingni and kissed her several times. Su Qingni calmly pushed Zhang Manling away, saying that the powder on Zhang Manling's face was too thick, and it would fall down when she moved, and rushed into her nose, which was too uncomfortable. Zhang Manling had a complaining face, and the little girl asked, "Please don't stab her heart with a knife, okay?" But then Zhang Manling smiled again, got close to Su Qingni and asked, "Qingni, since you can help me take care of my body, can you help me improve my skin?" Su Qingni raised her eyebrows. "Of course, but can you bear the smell of medicine?" Zhang Manling clenched her fist. "For the sake of fair and perfect skin, for my beauty, I can bear it. Okay." Su Qingni ran back to her room, took out a pen and paper, wrote down a bunch of medicinal herbs and handed them to Zhang Manling. "Go buy these." "So many." Zhang Manling looked at the pile of medicinal herbs on the paper and felt dizzy. Su Qingni said, "Part of the herbs are for you to take a bath, and part of them I will make into beauty ointment for you to apply. After 2 courses of treatment, I guarantee that your skin will be more delicate and fair than that of a 16 or 17-year-old girl." Zhang Manling's eyes lit up when she heard this, and she happily folded the note and put it in her purse, saying, "I will go to the pharmacy later and ask them to send the herbs to you." "Yes." Su Qingni replied, "You ask them to move faster, I have to go out in the afternoon." "Where to go?" Zhang Manling asked hurriedly. "Go outside the village and take a look at what the whole port city looks like now, and find a way to make money." Su Qingni said. "No, it's dangerous outside, I don't feel at ease with you alone." Zhang Manling didn't let Su Qingni go out. Although Su Qingni was rampant in Lianchang village, it was mainly because the people in the village followed the rules of the village, but the people outside didn't follow the rules. Su Qingni was a child. What if she met some blind people? Even if her fighting power is high, some people have wooden cannons, and no matter how high a person's fighting power is, it is not as good as a bullet. "Don't worry, I will be fine. Before I met you, I was also wandering the streets for a while. Didn't I protect myself well?" Su Qingni persuaded Zhang Manling, "And I won't go alone, I will take Sangao and Baozi with me." Sangao and Baozi are the 2 most capable fighters among Su Qingni's younger brothers. One of them is 12 and the other is 11 years old. They are very tall and look like guys of 17 or 18 years old. They are fierce and tough, and they are very intimidating when they are taken out. Zhang Manling has seen Sangao and Baozi, and she felt relieved after hearing this, and agreed to go out with Su Qingni. Chapter 750, Peace and Prosperity Part 4. After dinner, Zhang Manling went out. After a while, the shop assistant brought all the herbs over, filling up half of the living room. Su Qingni picked out some of the herbs and put them in a large casserole, soaked them in water, and went out. Downstairs, Sangu and Baozi were already waiting for Su Qingni. Su Qingni threw a big meat bun to each of them. Sangu and Baozi were 2 orphans, and they hadn't eaten yet. They were tall, and a meat bun, no matter how big it was, couldn't fill them up. But Su Qingni said that she would take them to a big meal outside the village. Zhang Manling couldn't be better to Su Qingni, giving her a lot of pocket money. Now Su Qingni had a lot of money on her. The 3 of them walked in the street, looking like a rich lady shopping with 2 bodyguards, which shocked many people, and no one dared to take advantage of Su Qingni. Su Qingni took the 2 of them to stroll around the port city for a long time, and had some understanding of the port city at that time, and slowly made a plan to make money in her mind. The sun was about to set. Su Qingni took the 2 hungry boys to a food stall, ordered a large plate of fried beef noodles, and ordered several hard dishes. The 2 boys ate voraciously and soon swept away all the food on the table. Su Qingni then took them back to Lianchang's. The 2 boys returned to their residences contentedly, and Su Qingni also returned to the house where she and Zhang Manling lived. The room was quiet and no one was there. At this time, Zhang Manling had gone to work in the dance hall and would not get off work until midnight. Su Qingni put the casserole with the medicinal materials on the stove and began to boil the medicine, first with high heat, then with low heat. When the medicine juice was boiled, it was time for Zhang Manling to go home. Su Qingni heard from Zhang Manling that her lovers had things to do during this period, and she would not hang out with her lovers after get off work, but would go home on time. The medicine juice was boiling on the stove here, and Su Qingni began to grind the medicinal materials and make ointment there. Time passed little by little. Zhang Manling got off the rickshaw, looked up and saw the faint light coming through the window of her house, and her heart warmed. It was a good feeling to have someone waiting for her to go home. She went upstairs, opened the door and entered the living room. Seeing the little girl still busy, Zhang Manling's heart warmed even more, but what she said was unpleasant to hear. Children who stay up late will not grow tall. Why don't you go to bed? Su Qingni looked up and made a face at Zhang Manling. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I'm a miracle doctor. Yes, little miracle doctor. Zhang Manling couldn't do anything about Su Qingni. This little ancestor had big ideas. Her nose smelled a strong smell of medicine wafting from the kitchen, and her face turned pale. This smell. It's really bad. Su Qingni smiled at her and said, good medicine tastes bitter but is good for the disease. This medicine smells bad but it can also help you improve your skin more effectively. I have boiled water for you. You mix the medicine soup into the bath water, soak for half an hour, and then go to bed. Really want to soak? Zhang Manling hesitated. This smell was really unbearable. Su Qingni tilted her head towards her, with an innocent look. Don't you want to have smooth, delicate and fair skin? Don't you want to be more beautiful? Want to? Why not? For beauty. She endured it. Zhang Manling gritted her teeth and poured the bath water, stuffed 2 balls of cotton into her nostrils, and then took off her clothes and soaked in the water. Su Qingni supervised Zhang Manling's bath and didn't let Zhang Manling get up until half an hour later. Zhang Manling hurriedly cleaned her body with clean water, and Su Qingni yawned and went back to her room to sleep. Zhang Manling slept more comfortably and more deeply that night, and didn't wake up until 10:30 the next day. After waking up, she felt more comfortable than ever. Perhaps because of the psychological effect, she really felt that her skin was more delicate and fairer. Zhang Manling was in a good mood and washed up and went out of the room. As expected, she saw the breakfast on the table. The amount of breakfast was not much, just a piece of toast and a small cup of milk. This was for her to fill her stomach first, and she would have lunch soon. In the past, Zhang Manling would not eat breakfast. She always combined breakfast and lunch and ate them together. However, after Su Qingni came, she reprimanded Zhang Manling for this unhealthy eating habit and required her to eat breakfast. Zhang Manling could not persuade Su Qingni, so she had to do as she was told. Then she got used to eating breakfast. While eating breakfast, Zhang Manling found that Su Qingni was not at home. She left a piece of paper on the table with a wooden box on it. Zhang Manling picked up the note, and Su Qingni wrote on it that she had gone to find her younger brothers to assign tasks, and she had found a way to lead them to make money. The box contained ointment, and Zhang Manling could just apply it on her face and skin, just like applying the vanishing cream sold in department stores. Zhang Manling sneered. Can ointment be used like vanishing cream? If ointment is applied on the face, wouldn't it become a big clown face that can be seen by people? As a result, When she opened the lid of the box, she found that the ointment inside was not as black as the ointment in the dog skin plaster as Zhang Manling thought, nor did it have the strong smell of medicine like the bath potion she thought. The ointment is light green, translucent, and emits a fragrance, with only a little bit of medicinal smell. If you don't smell it carefully, you can't smell it at all. I still underestimated this girl. Zhang Manling chuckled, and she had all confidence in this box of ointment. She stretched out her slender right index finger, took out a piece of nail size from the box, and gently applied it to her face. Picking up the mirror beside her, Zhang Manling looked inside. She was very surprised that the light green ointment did not change the color of her face when applied on her face, just like the face when applying vanishing cream. No wonder the little girl asked her to treat the ointment as vanishing cream. Well, the fragrance is not bad. In the future, I won't apply vanishing cream, just apply ointment every day. Zhang Manling was very happy. There are quite a lot of ointments in the wooden box, not just for her to apply on her face. She hummed a song and applied the ointment on her arms, feet and body. Su Qingni assigned tasks to a group of younger brothers. She has already thought of how to make money with her younger brothers, intra-city express delivery. This is an industry that does not require much cost and can make money. In this era, intra-city express delivery is a new industry. As long as she takes the younger brothers to drink the first bite of soup, they will definitely make a lot of money. Even if someone joins this industry later, they will also make a lot of money. With funds, they can also engage in other industries. The younger brothers are very excited and are all eager to follow the boss. Not long after, their intra-city express delivery company was established. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.